for you new people, I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. If you don't do your job, I'll shoot you. You get me?
We get you, sir!
Welcome to the Roughnecks.
Ratcats, Roughnecks!
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Thank you for that $100. You guys ready to meet your new wife? She's at Applebee's. Neighborhood Bar and Grill and Bar. Sorry, you have to say it the right way. Do you really care what a chick does if she looks hot? I don't think so. Yeah. There we go. Live from Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the Irrational Male. Gee, I wonder who plays Rolo's intro music. If you're looking for that song, you can find it. All you got to do is go in the description and you will find it. It's for free. You can download that song for free. Isn't that awesome? All right, let's start it off. Here we go.
Men do not care about your career, ladies. I'm sorry, they just don't. They will date a waitress at Applebee's over a corporate executive if they treat them right and make their lives easier. What does the science say about this?
The men don't care about your career. It kind of
because this is the science guy. Mac and Murphy, science guy.
Depends on what men you're talking about. If you're talking about successful men, they clearly do. Like this whole meme, the successful men will date an Applebee's waitress, doesn't line up with the data that richer men tend.
Of course, there's nothing in that tweet that said anything about successful men. It just said men will be happy to date the Applebee's waitress. But let's go and rephrase it so we can actually have some sort of validity in this whole thing.
Tend to select richer women. More educated men tend to select more educated women. Richer.
Yeah, that's patently false, and I'm going to show you stats that prove otherwise.
Women appear basically immune to the decline in marriage that has transpired since the 1970s. When you look at this data holistically, it doesn't seem to be the case that there is effect of men selecting downward for youth and beauty.
Like, was he like in the Navy or something?
And whatnot at the expense of career and education. When you look at the most successful men, they tend to pair up with the most successful women.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, and we'll explain that to you here. But let's get into prearranged
Why
marriage.
do you want to date an Australian girl like me?
For Australian passport, madam.
Just for the passport?
Yeah.
How will you marry me?
After we fall in love.
And how are we going to fall in love? We're not even boyfriend and girlfriend yet.
Madam, in India, we don't believe on all this boyfriend, girlfriend bullshit, okay? We have arranged marriage. Once you say, yes, I will take you to India and meet my father. And my father will give his approval. And then we'll go for arranged marriage.
After marriage, where do you think we'll live?
Near the Great Barrier Reef.
Why, you have an apartment there?
No, apartment you will provide, right?
You think I will provide you an apartment?
Men and women are equal. Feminism.
Sandeep, what are you bringing to the table?
No, I am bringing myself to the table and all my families and relatives. Because once I get married to you and we settle in Australia, I will bring all my uncles, aunts, brothers, sister, cousins, and we'll have a very big joint family along with the cows, sheep and kangaroos. We will include the kangaroos into the community.
Sandeep, are you for real?
Yes, madam, I am real. I am not AI. Real, see, flesh, body. Come, let's go to India and meet my father.
Oh my God.
Air ticket you will provide. Business class is okay. I'm not too greedy.
I'm not too greedy.
Hey, I'm Anwar. I am 5'5".
Dangerous person in the world. We're producing millions of them, and that is a lonely, young, broke male. Dogs are happiest when they're lying on top of you. The worst thing you can do to a dog is leave it alone all day. And what we're doing to young people is they are leaving others and themselves alone all day.
I love this concept where it's like the most dangerous guys in the world are the ones that are like lonely incels. And it's like, No, bro. Those are not the people you need to be worrying about. Okay, it's like knife violence in the UK. That you might want to be a little bit more concerned about shit like that, especially since like Scott Galloway lives in the UK because he thought it would be a much better like experience to raise his sons in the UK right now. Which a new bit of information I just picked up. But the thing is it's like, why would that be a concern? You know, it's like we're going to talk a little bit about politics today and the gender divide in politics today. Trust me, lonely men should not be like at the top of the priority list.
Separating from each other, we're becoming less social. And there's a group of men who receive well at school, don't find a source of pride. Auto shop, metal shop, wood shop's gone away.
Yeah, because it's trades, man. Trust me.
They go online to date. The majority of them get rejected. If you're average attractiveness in online dating, you have to swipe right 200 times to get a single coffee. If you set up 5 coffees,
because we're looking for coffee dates, guys. So remember that coffee date.
You'll get 1 will actually show up. 4 of the 5 will ghost you and decide later on they don't actually want to meet up.
That sounds like a chick problem than a guy problem. But
so a young man of average attractiveness in online dating has to swipe right 1,000 times.
What qualifies as average attractiveness? Because we already have established that 80% of men are deemed unattractive, below average attractiveness by women, according to David Buss and his stats and others as well.
So he gets validation for 1 coffee. He gets validation that he has no worth to the other sex. He loses confidence. He starts engaging with people because he has less opportunities for random encounters where he has to develop those skills. And slowly but surely, he sequesters from society. And at some point, he just is not really savable. He just never develops those skills around friendship or romantic relationships.
Yeah, well, the problem is when guys try to like reach out to these dudes, you call us fucking misogynists.
In the United States, 1 in 7 men doesn't have a single friend. 1 in 4 can't name a best friend.
Okay, but guess what? 75% of them can, and 85% of them have a friend that they can talk to, right? Like, I love how these guys just toss out research shows. This guy is a research shows guy. Oh, but remember coffee dates.
What the fuck do you mean you went on a coffee date with a man?
Interesting shaming tactic, calling other women names that happen to be okay with coffee dates. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to change their minds.
Beautiful women do not accept coffee dates. They don't. They know their value. They know what they.
Okay, look at this chick. What were we just saying, Kyle? We have to carry on that conversation again. Look at this girl, and what do you expect is going to come out of her mouth? Like, this kind of shit. Look at her. This kind of just look at her. Okay, like the eyebrows penciled in, the hair definitely got like extensions. Got the collagen lips. What do you say? The Kylie Jenner?
Kylie Jenner makeup look.
Kylie Jenner. Yeah, it's like she's a Kardashian clone. What do you expect to come from the? I saw Jedediah Bila actually criticize this chick too. I'm like, yeah, but look at her, Jed. Come on, just look at this chick.
To bring to the table.
But what actually do those women bring to the table? A person never actually hears that part explained because all I'm seeing is an attractive face and a questionable attitude.
You are way too valuable and you are boosting up way too many egos when you go on coffee dates with men.
Some women just don't understand the purpose of dating anymore. And I don't know why they don't just come out and admit it. It's a lot better than trying to hide it, because a lot of the rest of us can see it quite clearly. Because most reasonable people understand that the purpose of dating is to get to know the other person, not to try to see how much money they're willing to spend. Because quite frankly, if that's how a person is treating you before they even get to know you, then that tells you all that you need to know about that person.
All you had to do is look at her in the car. Yes, I mean, physiognomy is real, gentlemen. Just throwing that out there.
It matters so much more because your personality is correlated with your looks via the halo effect. If 2 people were into video games and one of them was good looking and one of them was not, the good looking guy might be, oh, that's really interesting. That's a unique hobby you have. Might be how someone will react, and they might call the unattractive person playing video games just a nerd. So people are going to perceive your person.
I hate that he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Like Henry Cavill.
Yep.
Henry Cavill, Warhammer 40,000. Yeah, he says it. Chicks pay. They want to start painting miniatures. They want to fucking start a new Blood Angels army, dude. If the nerds, if I say it, everybody goes, "Oh, what a geek."
Your interests, your hobbies, vastly different if you're good looking versus not. So it's a direct correlation. It's easy to convince yourself if you're not an attractive person that this is not a metric that matters when it's arguably one of the most important for your overall well-being.
He's not wrong. I hate to say it. I have to agree with Clavicular on this. I don't know about the means to get there, but yes.
Chip, the only thing that matters is if you can be yourself around them. Shared hobbies, attraction, lifestyle alignment is all downstream. If you can't be fully yourself around someone, you're either performing or negotiating constantly. And
here's the thing. Yeah. The problem with that is, well, first of all, the broccoli haircut. That's number one. Number two is why in the fuck is this ambiguously gay male who has no wife, no kids, no marriage, no platform to speak upon, talking and trying to give you, just be yourself relationship marriage advice? Okay, I'm bringing this out here because everybody, and I hate to be the one who's going to defend her, but everybody runs Pearl up the fucking flagpole for being let's say a childless, unmarried, single, 28, 29 something girl, and they say, well, she should not be talking about anything about marriage. Fine. If that's your stance, this motherfucker should not be. You should say the same thing about this guy right here. If he has no credibility, he has no credibility. No one has ever seen this dude with a chick. I ask this constantly. And then the thing is like, I love how it's like the jump cuts in these are just amazing. I know that this is just sort of a call to action to join his group and subscribe to whatever the fuck he's pitching right now. I get that, but it's just basically telling guys and telling women what they want. It's what's called sounds right advice. That's what this fucking is. Just be yourself. Gee, where have we heard this for the last 24 fucking years, man?
Time that corrodes everything. True intimacy is being radically unedited and still accepted, and the rest is just set design. That's from Signal. When you combine,
yeah, I love that. I love how we throw out this is not me saying this. This is somebody who I'm appealing to their authority for.
Neediness is when you place a higher priority on what others think of you than what you think of yourself. You're rejecting yourself when you show up as somebody else in order to please another person. And
we all do this. No one is quote unquote authentic. Everyone fucking does this.
Roughly the only thing that matters is if you can be yourself around them, truth becomes this sort of solvent. Honesty becomes this solvent that kind of cuts through whatever's in front of you. This is why it's so dangerous to not show up as yourself.
Yeah. But the problem is if yourself is the guy who likes to watch anime, jerk off to porn and like eat a half a pizza and suck down a 6-pack. I'm just being myself. How come I can't get a fucking Fitness America model? Like this is the worst fucking advice I can possibly think of, especially for guys who are just like, well, all I got to do is just be myself. Yeah. The good looking, like GQ fucking homosexual model is going to tell you how to have a good marriage, how to avoid divorce. Yeah. Good on you, man. And I'm the one you're worried about. I'm the one who gets fucking ratioed. Okay.
Select richer women. More educated men tend to select more educated women. Richer women appear basically immune to the decline in marriage that has transpired since the 1970s.
You know how he throws, I love how he throws these things out. Like this is, I pulled this again from that Chris Williamson interview, and he decided he was going to throw some stats in here, and I'm looking at these. I'm trying because they just flash on and flash off. No one can see these. No one cares about these fucking stats. It's like, oh, they're stats. Don't worry. Move on. Next slide. Next slide, please. And it's just like, dude, people are going to call you on this. Okay. Like people like me are going to call you on this.
When you look at this data holistically, it doesn't seem to be the case that there is a effect of men selecting downward for youth and beauty and whatnot at the expense of career and education. When you look at the most successful men, they tend to pair up with the most successful women.
How did they get there? What is a successful dude? I was talking, well, we'll bring this up later.
Even though oftentimes those women stop working after marriage, at the initial point of contact, they tend to both be in similar stratospheres.
So it's kind of a refined taste born out of a refined lifestyle.
Yeah.
In order to be able to achieve high socioeconomic success.
Yeah. So if you have like a low quality woman, it means you're a low quality dude. That's the underlying message.
As a man, you've had to become discerning, and you probably have non-typical challenges that you're facing, and you want somebody that can keep up with you. The great line from David Senra, he says, the rule that I've learned about choosing a partner is that as a high-performing CEO or founder, you either need a supportive spouse or no spouse at all. I feel like it's playing into that.
Yeah. The problem is like, if you're going, like, women cannot look up to a man who is her equal. How many fucking different ways do I have to say this? I don't know. This next video gave me chills. I'm dead ass serious. It gave me chills. Look at the eye contact.
She still wants him.
If you ever, this is the only surviving victim of Ted Bundy, as she testified in court against. So somebody like threw this at me on Instagram, and I was just like, holy! It's like the 1,000 cock stare.
Yeah,
it's like, I would do this guy. I don't care if he's like a mass murderer. I don't care if he was butchering these chicks. I'm about it. And he chose me. She's a pick me girl for Ted fucking Bundy. Isn't that crazy? All right, I haven't done a Nuno in a long time, and I thought I would leave you with something inspirational.
As you're at this camp, and maybe you're coming up here thinking about, man, I got Nuno Betancourt here, I got all these guys that I will be bringing up, you know, in the hopes of maybe learning something, or even being like them, or playing like them. Just know this, before you go there, is that I spent many hours, years, weeks, my life, thinking like, I'm gonna fucking sound like Eddie Van Halen one day. I'm gonna sound like Page one day. I'm gonna fucking be like, you know, George Lynch, Warren D. Martin, the tone, fucking Brian May, all this stuff, and chasing that sound, that tone, until that one moment where you finally, your dream comes true, and it kind of turns into a nightmare. Meaning what? Meaning you're at Eddie Van Halen's rehearsal, you're at a Van Halen rehearsal, you don't know you're gonna be there. A friend of mine, Dweezil Zappa, says, well, I'm just going to pick up a guitar. The door's open, we go in, and it's fucking Van Halen rehearsing. So the first thing I thought was like, oh my God, there it is, right in front of me. They were playing. And Eddie's rig was right in front of me, and I said, oh my God, there it is. What I would give to play that rig and finally sound like Edward Van Halen. Because no excuses, right? The guitar, the cable, the amps, the DNA on the strings, the sweat, it's all there. So I'm finally going to sound like him. And finally I'm holding the fucking guitar, and I'm playing in front of Edward, and I hit that first chord, and I was like, oh my God, it sounds just like me. It was one of the most disappointing moments of my life, that no matter, I'm talking the guitar, the tape, everything, I had it all. And that's when I realized that every single one of you in this fucking room, no matter who your idols are, no matter who the fuck is up here playing, none of us will ever sound like you. You have a fucking power in your fingertips, in your skin, in your DNA, where you hold a pick, the nuance, where you hit it on the string. Everything. Yes, amp matters. Yes, cables matter to translate that to the world. All of you, don't ever think or believe that it's out of reach. Because, yes, you will never exactly sound like any of us, but you have that special power, that you have an individual fucking touch and feel. So you better know that you have a superpower. Don't fucking forget that. Yeah? Cool?
There we go. Nuno Betancourt, ladies and gentlemen. Who the hell is this guy? I'll tell you who Nuno Betancourt is. He's the guitar player for the band Extreme, and quite honestly, he's like one of my teenage heroes, obviously, because he's an old school shredder. But like, just it's funny to see. He's a bit older than me. I think he might be just this side of 60 right now, and it's funny to see him like sort of. I mean, he does these guitar intensives and stuff like that, and I mean, I'll watch for that. But like, Nuno's got such a good outlook on life, and I've put some of his other videos up here before, but it's almost just like that whole rant, that whole story was not about playing guitar. This wasn't about playing guitar. I mean, it was relative to the people who are in the audience, obviously, but it's so much more. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I always say that, like, I don't give prescriptions. I try to just give people education. I try to just give people like equipment, you know, give them the tools that they need to sort of build the sound of their, like, in this case, it would be like amps and guitars, but like I've described it as, giving you like a paintbrush and the paints and the turpentine and the palette brush or the palette knife and the easel and all of the tools that you need, but the canvas is still you, and you still have to go and take all those things and turn yourself into something that is about you. The red pill is not one size fits all. And I'm sorry to say that when people come up with, people come to me and say, well, Rollo, when did you get red pilled? Like it's a fucking verb. Like that's what this is what I'm talking about. It's like, there's no cookie cutter. There's no 12 rules for red pill life. There's no 7 hot tips to win at the red pill. There's no certification. You don't get a diploma in it. It's just what you take from it and what you use. I mean, I can make a similar analogy to like guys who are in martial arts, like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee doesn't practice just one form of martial arts. It's what he takes from every single one of those and he turns it into his own unique brand of karate. So I just thought I would throw that out there because I think that there are guys who are motivated to do like sort of like man up speeches or to do this sort of like what I call positivity porn, positivity hustle. And it all ends up sounding like Tony Robbins. It always ends up sounding like, cookie cutter bullshit. Like, oh, do you be the change you want to see in the world? It's like, yeah, but it's like it's the same testimonials. It's the same fucking, devotionals every day, like, well, what's your self-speak? It's the same fucking thing over and over again. And the thing is like, remember that guys who are successful, like super successful guys, don't teach success. Okay. Like there's a reason why Jeff Bezos isn't like going on tour and like doing these man up, TED Talks and shit like that. Or the people who are like really truly wealthy individuals aren't actually going to these seminars or these conventions to teach you how to, the 7 hot tips as to what, made them a secret success. They're busy doing it. The people who are truly successful, the people who are actually like doing something with their lives and are actually making money, being successful, however you define that success, they don't have the time to go to pitch you from the stage, man. They don't have that. That's not their business is not to like get you to believe whatever their bullshit is. Their business is the business. Right. And that's why my business is writing. That's why my business is creating books and doing things that are going to help guys build a better life as a result of that. So I thought that was interesting because a lot of guys, like, they'll want to, like, I think one of the things that I hear constantly, and I no disrespect to any of the most obvious players who have said this before, but there's a lot of guys who are like, will say, well, be careful who your gurus are. Are they someone you would want to, switch lives with? And quite honestly, I can't think of one motherfucker who I would want to switch lives with. Oh, you wouldn't want to switch lives with Alex Hormozy? Fuck no. You wouldn't want to switch lives with, I don't know, Andrew Tate? No. You wouldn't want to switch lives? No, none of the above, because I like where I'm going and I like what I've done. And at the end of your life, it's not going to be about like who you followed, and it's not going to be about like what books you fucking read or the trophies or the accomplishment, the things that you have on your fucking, mantle or whatever. It's going to be your body of work. It's going to be what you are. What's the summation of who you are, and what's your unique sound? What's your unique you, right? And that's why I always like, one of the reason why I'm launching off with this is because there's that one part where it's like, what Chris Williamson is talking about, like, oh yeah, you just need to be yourself. Like, dude, you know how long people have been saying just be yourself, especially like guys who are like sort of, people would call them naturals, guys who are like alpha male, like hot guys, right? I don't know, man. I just smile at them and they want to suck my dick. I don't know. It's just that's just how it works. They don't have any clue as to what it's like for guys who are like trying to, take the long route, trying to build themselves up from nothing into something. And eventually it's like, if you don't want to sound like Eddie Van Halen, you'll end up sounding like you. You can have all of their same shit. You can have all of their same amps. You can buy all of their books. You can buy all of their seminars. You can go to all this, and you're still going to be stuck with you because you ain't them. That's this authentic personality is all what you decide it's gonna fucking be. You decide what you want to do. That's why that's one of the primary tenets of Reignite, right? You get to decide who you want to fucking be. You get to make that fucking choice. And don't let anybody else tell you, oh, you should do this. Or like pretty much everybody else that I know selling ideology or selling like some sort of success program or some shit like that, they're selling you what their sound is. They're selling you on their amp and their chords and the guitar and the tone wood, which matters, by the way. They're selling you on all of this equipment and everything like that, but you still sound like you once you have all that equipment. And you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. That's just who you fucking are. That's what you're about. Only you get to decide who you're going to be. That's the thing when we talk about, your authentic personality. What the fuck is your authentic personality? Your authentic personality is what you decide it's going to be. When I'm in my talks with my Reignite guys, which by the way, join the group, please. Or even in, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, we got him.
Lisa Sparks. I wish I knew Lisa Sparks. Wait, I wish I knew Lisa Sparks. There you go. God, man, you're not supposed to come in at the beginning. You're supposed to come at the end of the show and troll the show at the end. So like deny this guy until Lisa Sparks. Who the fuck is Lisa? Is she a porn star? Like give me throw me a bone here at least. Is she a porn star? I have no idea who Lisa Sparks is. Getting involved with Lisa Sparks. I wish I knew. Who is Lisa Sparks? Look her up.
Yeah, porn star.
Porn star. Yeah. I would not fuck this chick. I'm sorry. Maybe in her younger days. Dude, she is like a fucking land beast. That is like, no, there is no earthly way I would ever fuck Lisa Sparks. I'm looking at we just looked it up on the monitor here. No, dude. That would never happen. Yeah, I love it. Are you sure paying some guy in Brazil to teach me how to walk up to women and claim to be a DJ won't pay the? Yeah, I'm talking about demonetized. I have to give this guy a shout out. What's up, Rolo? Just got approved for that FU money from the VA and donating to the Rolo Get Well Fund. Thank you. Thanks for saving my life, buddy. Reignite, let's go. Yeah. That's what I was going to say is in Reignite, that's the first thing I'm going to tell you is like, everybody gets zero. I'm zeroed out right now. I got zeroed out in my fucking physical right now because of the surgery and everything that I'm going through, coming back from it. I got to be scanned. I'm not going to tell you how. I told you how. I'm not going to tell you how, but I got to be scanned on February 24th. And then I have a tentative surgery date for reconnecting my guts, on March 24th. So I have to endure this bullshit for at least another 2 months, right? So they're giving me they want me to have 3 months before they know everything's healed up and we're all sealed up and we're the seal took, the gaskets on the gasket took. So and it sucks, man. It fucking sucks. I don't know how people who have to live with this shit because I would seriously question my sanity if I had to live with this shit. But it sucks, and I'm not gonna lie to you. It's fucking rough every fucking morning, every fucking evening, man. It is fucking hard. But I'm gonna get through it, and I know that there's a date. I'm marking it off on the fucking dry erase calendar in my studio, my home studio right now. But I know it's gonna happen, and I know I'll get through it. So, but that's the thing. It's like you just have to go through it. One of the things I talked to guys about in my Reignite my Reignite community, my Reignite tribe. It's the only thing I can really call about. I don't like to call it my masterminds or my, because that's so funnel speak, man. It's guys, it's us coming together and talking about shit. And it's us coming together and like having like mutual interest and having mutual, but a lot of these guys have the same problems, right? And they're just going about, solving those problems differently. But the thing is like everybody gets zeroed out. I'm zeroed out right now. And I'm not financially zeroed out. My wife didn't leave me, but physically, you guys know me. I was fucking in fucking great shape right up until December. And now I've lost 10 pounds. Well, a little bit more than that, 12 pounds as a result of all this shit. And now I can't get to the gym. I won't be able to get to the gym till probably April. And so, but I'm going to come back from it. And I know I will. But like we all get zeroed out. Everybody gets zeroed out, including Rolo fucking Tomasi gets zeroed out. Okay. You can get zeroed out from a loss of a job, from a death in the family, from your business failing, from a divorce, or your health. There's lots of ways guys get zeroed out, but it's how you come back from that and how you rebuild from that and how you reignite from that, that really sort of defines your character. So that's why, again, that's the long way of saying, like, this is why I don't do like one size fits all. Because what happened to me might not happen to you, but you could still use the same talent pool. You can still use the same equipment. You can still use the same education to help you rebuild yourself back from start over from zero, right? Lonely and alone are the difference between chick think and men that lift. Yes. Stoicism. Boy, did I get into it. Boy, did I get into it on Twitter about stoicism this week. No homo, but hope colon sounds good. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Wait, hold on.
I want to cast magic missile.
Yes. Well, Rolo, looks like Myron got his red pill panel. Yes. We were talking about this just before the show. With Tate, Nick, you know who, Sneeko, Clavicular. Oh, don't forget Justin Waller and Tristan Tate was on there too. Anyways, what was the status your OG TRP panel? Okay, so we're in the talking stages right now. I kind of have to, if I relaunch or if I get myself back into Rule Zero, I'm going to have to do it. So, and I got nothing but time right now. So I will probably do it. I'm talking to the guys in RAR Squad again, and most of them are like current or former Rule Zero guys. And I would much rather have that discussion on a Saturday like we used to. We'll probably still do it at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 11:30, or no, 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. And we'll probably go back to swapping out who hosts it, I guess. I don't know. I'm sort of wondering whether we should not have it centralized as like we did before. The reason why we had it decentralized before is because the way things worked with the old, the Red Man group. Remember that? The reason why that got into so much trouble is because it was centralized and nobody, like, if you decentralize it and everybody hosts it on a different Saturday, it spreads the wealth. It spreads the super chats for sure, but it also makes everybody responsible for the content of the show rather than one motherfucker, being responsible for it. So, but yeah, I did see that. I thought that was interesting, Siege, because it's like it came like almost immediately after Myron was hitting me up in my DM, or hit me up, texted me and said like, "Hey, I want to start doing a red pill panel show," and I'm like, "Okay, let me see if I can." That's what got my kind of pricked my interest in doing Rule Zero again. But I don't know how many people would be on board with Myron after his pivot to the little hat people, whatever the fuck I don't even know what to call it. Right? I don't know. I think that it just dilutes the message. People already think that the red pill is about like, alt-right conservative TRP, whatever, TPUSA, whatever. Like they think it's already conservative ideology. And I was on record as early as on their show, March 2021, where I was saying, I hope the red pill doesn't go mainstream. It has to stay non-mainstream to actually be genuine, because then you got bad actors coming in. And I don't even know, like, when people want to say Andrew Tate's red pill, he's not red pill. He has like disavowed the red pill more times than I can count, and will probably be back on. He'll probably be red pill when it's popular. All it is fucking clout chasing. All it is whatever promotes the brand. All it is whatever supports and floats whatever the fuck it is that they're doing right there. That's why they got Clav on there. Clav's the new hotness. And yes, I did see that one video, and God bless him. You guys know I love me some Justin Waller, but like that one video of Clavicular and Justin's kind of talking together, and it's funny how it's like he's trying to be the older guy, like informing the 19-year-old kid. Like it's one of those situations where like people go, well, Rolo, what would you say to your 18-year-old self? Nothing, because my 18-year-old self would say, "Fuck you, old man." That wouldn't because who I am right now is because when I was 18, I said, "Fuck you guys." That's why I'm the sum of all of that experience, right? But the funny thing is like you got Clav there, and they both have, like, I don't know did he have a cigar, but like Clav had a cigar in his hand, and he looks, and we were just he looks exactly like you would look, like a kid would look with the first cigar he's ever had in his hand. Like, if you are a cigar virgin, if you've never smoked a cigar in your life, right, that's what you would look like. You would look just like, and he's trying so hard. Like Aaron Clary would just rip this guy apart because like Aaron's a cigar smoker. And it was I mean, I get what he's trying to do, and I'm not saying like what everything Clav says is bad. I'm just saying it's just like you kind of see the fat kid trying to fit in with the cool kids now that he looks different, or now that he has money, or now that he is being accepted. Like, there's no way Clav would ever meet Andrew Tate, Sneeko, Nick, Myron, or Justin Wall. He would never meet those guys had he not done what he did. Had he not looks maxed, had he not like do the jawbreakers, whatever the fuck it is, had he not done what he's done, he would never be in that. They would never look at him as somebody that they would consider a peer. And honestly, I don't think they do. Not now anyways. Who knows, right? Again, I want to like Clav, but it's just I can see the kid trying to sort of fit in, right? Let me go to this one. I've got wonderful news. My brother is finally divorcing his abusive bipolar wife. Yeah, there you go. She was dumb enough to get drunk, assault an off-duty cop, and steal his truck. Her and her 2 kids are gone. Whoa. Well, good for you, Rational Reignite. Hopefully you're going to get custody of these kids. I don't know. Your slacking roll of the Spicoli sound drop was perfect for Pretty Boy Williamson. Oh man, I am kind of sad. This one?
Oh, those guys are back.
Is that what you want? Yeah, Madata Murphy. Yeah, I've got data that sort of like conflicts with a lot with hell, even data that Mac has generated himself actually contradicts a lot of the shit he talks about. What do you think would happen if the divorce laws reversed so men benefited from divorce? How do you think men saying women are wrecking families would explain it? I think if the divorce laws were like unduly biased against women, hell, you don't even have to do that. All you have to do is say all divorces are 50-50. You get no alimony, you split the assets, and that's it. No child support, unless whoever gets the kid, right, gets the child support. But child support will be 50-50. You don't get jack shit. I think they're doing that in China, right? It was what state is it? There's a state that's saying that they just passed a law where you're not able to, you can't get spousal support or depending on what, like that's what I was saying when I read that, and maybe it's in China, the divorce laws in China. Maybe that was where I was reading it. But the divorce is like you don't get any, like you basically come in, you get what you came in with, more or less. But no spousal support means ending financial payments between divorce-separated spouses, often achieved through a clean break agreement demonstrating the receiving spouse financial independence, or if conditions for termination, like the marriage or death, are met. Okay, but I want to say there was a story that was about, and I think it's like China decided that they weren't going to allow this, the spousal support, whatever. So you basically leave with whatever, like if it's community property, then you leave it, but like. Honestly, I think that if you did that, marriage rates are in the fucking toilet as it is. Women are like, because what's the incentive? I think that would be an interesting, like, sort of social experiment. Like, what's the incentive? Because women go into marriage at an advantage because essentially their sexual market value and their agency, their sexual market capital, I should say, diminishes by the year. Why? How do we know this? Well, because men tend to get remarried more often than women do. And I've had this discussion with Jim Sexton before, and it's like, oh, well, men are just the romantics and they just want to get married. No. Those wives can't get married again because they are either used up or they've sort of passed their expiration date. Like that's one of the reasons why you see women who will divorce a guy anywhere between 5 to 9 years. So it's like 7 years is the average. After the marriage, most, like the average duration of a marriage that ends in divorce is about 7 years. And so if you got so what's the average age of first marriage in the United States for women? 30 years. So that means by the time she's 37, she's considering divorce, or she's either going to, ride or die, right? And so that's when she starts getting into shape. That's when she starts going to the gym. That's when she starts, spending a lot of time with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor, right? Because once you hit that golden age of 40, then there's the distinct possibility that guys who are older than her would never want to have anything to do with her unless she's extremely good looking, right? And I think that sort of relates to what today's topic is going to be about as well. Is like, it's not about careers, ladies. It's not about your academic achievements. It's not about your education level. How fucking hot are you? Why is it that women between the ages of like 40 and 50 have such a difficult time finding a guy to resettle down with once they're like divorcees? Why is it so difficult for them? Right? Well, sure, you've got kids in tow. You've got some baggage alone. Most women have baggage. I have guys in my Reignite group who are like 45, 50 some odd years old. And they're like, I have to date younger. I'm like, yeah, of course. And like, no, I really have to date younger because women who are in my peer, it would be age appropriate for me. They have too much baggage. They're divorcees from single moms. They're too fat. They're fat and sassy and think that their academic achievements and their intellectual achievements should translate into sexual market value, and it simply doesn't. Why? Because men select for fertility and sexuality and availability. Speaking of availability, what's that chick's name? Sophia Rain. You guys, I'll wait till Kyle comes back before I jump into that narrative. Let me get to the rest of these. Anything that tries to adhere to objective reality is seen as conservative these days. That's why the red pill is seen as conservative. Yes, it is. The other thing is this is, and then woman plus Brazilian equals divorce. Yes, you are correct. I've got an interesting stat here. This has been making the round. I'm glad you brought that up because this is, again, one of those things where, where'd it go? Maybe I can just pop this on the screen here. Image file. And is this it? No, that's not it. It's GB. This one. So let's put this up. There we go. Partisan gap between young men and young women is almost doubled. And by the way, I've seen some other stats on this. I have them in my Twitter bookmarks. But this is worldwide. This is the United States, but this is also worldwide. If you look at the divide, political divide between men and women in South Korea, oh my God. And so the thing that's going on right now is it's not that men have become radicalized, just like everybody, anyone in the Britain, UK, Canada and Australia. They're so worried that Andrew Tate is going to radicalize young men that we need to get to them at the tender age of 5 years old so they don't become misogynists and they don't vote conservative. That's not it. That's absolutely not it. Men have barely changed, barely bumped the needle as far as their political ideology is concerned over the course of the last 25 years. It's women who have divulged crazily towards the left. And the reason why I was reading this one article about the reasons for this, and of course everybody's going to say that it's because of they're putting back up. It's because because of social media. It's because of what do they call it? The engagement machine, right? It's a capture machine, a capture to the audience, and women tend to want to vote for things that they feel more secure about that are going to be in women's interests. And I have said this from day one. I love how this is suddenly becoming something of it's coming into vogue right now. And the thing that gets me is like I've been banging this gong since I was in the So Suave days. We were talking about this. There's two chapters actually in my first book. One is called The Feminine Reality, and the other one is the Feminine Imperative. I forget what it is. Anyways, those two chapters, and they're basically outlining everything that we're now suddenly everybody, the mainstream wants to acknowledge. The fact of the matter is it's gynocentrism that has overreached. And guys will say, well, that's because men have given them the power. Well, yeah, but once they got that, they ran with it. And that's why you see like young women between the ages of 18 and 29, I think is a demo, are more politically radicalized towards the left than men are towards the right. But if women are the ones who are setting the political narrative, the social narrative, it seems like if men can't meet them and in their ideological, wherever that ideological benchmark is, that there's something wrong with them. Because I've said before that feminism, gynocentrism sets the social narrative, sets the social language. This is, again, we can go all the way back to 2013 in the very first Rational Male book. When I'm talking about the feminine reality, I said exactly this back then. Now here we are, 15 years later, 18 years later. And we're seeing this live in real time now. Now we have graphs. Everybody loves a graph, right? Now we have graphs to freaking prove it. But it's not, it's the reason why we have put so much emphasis on preventing boys from being radicalized by those red pill guys on those red pill communities, on those red pill podcasts. The reason why that is the topic du jour and not women becoming radicalized by leftism and progressivism. The reason why that is because we're in a gynocentric social order that normalizes and makes the feminine experience correct. Women are right, men are wrong. So if they're doing something that we don't like, if they're not meeting us halfway, if they're not on board with our radicalized leftist, progressivist, wokesy policies, there's something wrong with them. Because they set the norm. That's the frame. When I've talked about frame in the past, you guys already know we've talked about frame. In Reignite, my book Reignite, I go into great detail about what frame is. There's personal frame. Like guys will say, well, I lost the frame role in my marriage, or I'm not holding frame, right? What constitutes your frame? All the good stuff that goes along with that. That's on the individual scale. On the meta scale, on the global political sociological scale, women's frame is the predominant one right now. We would like to say, well, it's men because it's patriarchy and they have there's more men in politics. No. It's not who's in the politics. It's who has control of the purse strings. It's how many women are in law, how many women are in psychology, how many women are in education, how many women are in HR, right? How many women are making changes and influencing the social fabric at the local level. It's not about how many congresswomen we have or how many female senators we have, or we don't have a female president, so we don't have that representation. Yeah. It makes no difference. How many women are on your city council? In Nevada? It's all women. It's basically all women. Like how many in local politics and I remember when Nevada went completely, it was like Democratic Socialists was the party that took over the Nevada State Senate. All women or men who definitely have a feminized, outlook on life, right? Mayor and city council. Look how many chicks are on there. Look, wait.
Want me to pull it up?
Okay, yeah, throw that up there. This is Las Vegas City Council. Okay. Shelley's the mayor. Well, at least we got one dude on there. Looks okay. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Okay, remember physiognomy is real. Everyone else is female. Like I brought this. I usually it's so funny because we're coming up on midterm elections. Look around you. Do this social experiment for yourself. Okay, we just showed like is it the Green Party or the Labour Party? I can't remember. In Britain, where it's like nothing but women.
I think the Labour Party.
Is it the Labour Party? It's nothing but women. That's what I'm talking about. It's not about. Don't try to distract me and say, well, we don't have an equal number of female congresswomen as we do men. It doesn't matter. You're look at it on the local scale. Look at it on your citizen scale. Look at it on your state senate. Look at that. Look, those are the people making decisions that are going to affect your life. And when we come into the midterm elections in the United States, look around you and look at all of the names, because you're going to see nothing but political advertising, nothing but these like boards, these billboard ads. Look how many male names you see versus how many female names you see. It will blow your mind. In some cases, like when I'm going, I don't even know who these people are, right? I'm supposed to be an educated voter, right? I'm looking at this and I'm going, it's nothing but women that are running for these offices. And that could be because guys aren't running for those offices. But even if they did, would they get in? I would be inclined to say no. So when you talk about, well, what's a gynocentric, show me some evidence of a gynocentric social order role. Oh, there you go. Look at your local electorate. Look at your local politics. That's where it starts. That's where it's at. It's not about the congresswomen or we don't have a female president yet. Fuck that. Who cares? It's right there in the politics are local. Look at that shit right there and look at how that sets a narrative. The female experience is the correct way to do things. That's why women are dumbfounded when guys don't get on board with progressive wokesy rhetoric. They don't get on board with that ideology. And so what they say is, well, it must be Andrew Tate. They must be being radicalized to the right. No, they haven't budged. They haven't moved according to or maybe bumped the needle just slightly. In South Korea, I have to say, though, the men have gone much more conservative. But you're looking at you're looking at a race of human beings that is going to go extinct within the next 90 years or something like that. If everything stays the same, extinct. You will not. There will be no Korean. There'll be no South Korean people. There will not be. There will not exist because of an ideology, because of memes, because of this making of the female experience the correct experience. In fact, if you're male, you're subhuman. You're not a human being unless you're female. That's why women want to say, well, men need to go to therapy. Well, I don't know. It's sexy when men go to therapy because why? Because they think that if men are going to a female therapist, if they're going to a marriage counselor or some bullshit like that, that guy is going to have he's going to be a better mate. He's going to be more identifying with the feminine. He's going to listen more. He's going to be the guy, like it's not about the nail. He's going to be the guy that's sitting on the couch, like who doesn't want to pull the nail out of your head and will listen to you just, bitch and moan and talk shit about your girlfriends, right? The female experience is the correct experience. It's the way, it's what, remember when, was it Camille Paglia was saying, we raise our boys as if they're defective girls. Those defective girls, those boys that become defective girls become men who are defective women. And so when the shit hits the fan and when women want a real guy, when women want a guy to be a man to be a man, they're not there because you get the men you created. The same thing's happening in the UK right now with the school system and everything else. But the problem is the reason why those guys are where they are is because we have decided socially in a global social, collective that the right way to think, the right way to feel, the right way to organize society, the right way to exercise politics, the right way to even think is female specific. And so when men don't line up with women's emotionalism, their egalitarianism, the social constructionism, the blank slate stuff that I keep telling you guys about, when men don't align with that, it's a personality disorder. It's a psychological disorder that needs therapy. It's a psychological disorder that makes men, in a clinical sense, retarded, right? Because you didn't cry at the end of Titanic. There must be something very wrong with you. No, I'm a guy. My brain doesn't work that way. I lack that hardware. Women lack the hardware of men as well. So that's why we emphasize and we prioritize feels before reels right now. We constantly hear this all the time. Feels before reels. This is emotionalism at scale. Feels before, it's about how I feel. And, I'm never going to invalidate your feelings. Don't judge me. No, that's prioritizing the way someone feels. And you could see in study after study, and I'm referring back to this one sort of viral tweet that's been going around, talking about how the female demographic, I guess, whatever, has been captured by the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't care whether you're male or female. It cares about capture. It cares about eyes on the screen. It cares about click-through rate. Right? And so what works with women? What gets that? Well, emotional appeals. And so if there's something wrong, I can guarantee you that every problem a woman has with a guy, you'll see this on Twitter all the time. Every single problem that a woman has with a guy right now can be traced back to her prioritizing emotionalism and wondering why he can't be more like her. He can't emote like a woman. He can't converse like a woman. He can't pay attention like a woman. He can't look across the table from her and, have her undivided fucking attention like her girlfriends. She doesn't understand that because men and women are different. I'm going to play something here for you. I got another really great video clip here that I was almost going to lead with this, but it was just too good not to. And we're going to get into the Applebee's thing here in just a second, but I want to, since we're on this topic right now, I wanted to throw this one out at you guys. And where did it go? Let's see. There we go. This is, I forget the guy's name, is senator here, having a conversation with this woman is a doctor, a fucking doctor. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me.
What you're looking at here is this is okay. Oh well, they're talking past each other. Well, you would be right about that. They are, but you're looking at a conflict here. You're looking at empirical reality smashing headlong into emotionalism. So she doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. She still firmly believes that identity is something that's malleable. Like gender identity in particular is malleable. So it will not come out of her mouth. Like she literally cannot say men cannot get pregnant. She literally cannot do that because to do so well, first of all, she would lose market share in whatever, wokesy, peer group she happens to be a part of, right? But not only that, she would have to confront the fact that there is an objective definition of male and female. She would have to, but we've entertained for so long. We have coddled, we have pandered to the female narrative of the female experience being the correct experience. Well, what is that all about? That is all about a collective, or it's communitarianism. It's about feels. It's about when women want to affect change in society, they ostracize, they cancel, they push you out of the group, just like they would do with like little girls when they have a group of little best friends. The worst thing that can happen to a little girl is to be kicked out of the peer group, to be an outcast. And women take that into the larger scale, into the meta scale. And so we have cancel culture as a result of that. Men, on the other hand, punish. Men live in hierarchies. Men develop things on empirical, objective hierarchies. So you've got Senator Hawley talking to Dr. Verma here and trying to get an empirical answer, trying to force her to use the language of empiricism that she knows she can't say. She's basically filibustering. She's trying to run out her time so she doesn't have to answer that question.
Let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
no, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. The United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor. and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with.
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question, it sounds like.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask, I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged, and yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
Okay, what you're looking at here, again, empirical, the language of empiricism. What is it? What is true? I've written about this on a couple of occasions when we're talking about the difference with sort of like I titled the essay "Believers versus the Red Pill versus Believers," right? Whatever. Believers versus empiricists, I think is what the title of it was. You'll find that in my fourth book, in Religion. The reason why they're talking past each other is because in this case, in this instance, Dr. Verma, because she believes in emotionalism, egalitarianism, the stuff, the reason why she can't like come to terms with the biological reality of men and women, the reason why she can't do that is because it's her religion. It's her belief. It's her belief that men can get pregnant. It's her belief that identity is something that's subjective rather than something that is objective, that is downstream from biology. Because once she admits that, she has to reconsider her own fucking personality because her ego and her identity is invested in the idea or in the concept, in the belief, the false fallacy belief that men can get pregnant. That men and women are just the same. It doesn't matter what we call ourselves as identity is identity. No, can't. And he even gives her a little bit of he gives her an out. Biological women, biological men, right? He could have just said, if he had just said men and women, then it's like, well, what's a man? What's a woman? Let's go back to Matt Walsh and ask what's a woman, right? The reason why you will never get that objective definition from a believer like Dr. Verma is because the goal of the conversation, the goal of the debate, the goal of the argument is not the same for each person. That woman, her goal is to what feels right. What's right, what's wrong. That's what it is. It's a moral imperative. And she's probably not a Christian. Well, I don't care about your Christian morality or any of that other shit right here. I'm just saying that from her moral framework, it is wrong for her to admit that men couldn't get pregnant, right? That identity is something that, well, if they feel this way, if men feel this way, if men feel they could get pregnant, then they can, which is just pandering to neurosis from an empirical standpoint. So she's speaking the language of emotionalism, and Senator Hawley is speaking the language of empiricism. That's why they talk past one another, because as he said, the goal of the conversation, the goal of the question, the goal of the inquiry, whatever the debate is, the goal to him, to empirical inquiry, is the truth. What is true? Not whether it's right or wrong, not whether it should or shouldn't be, no practices. It's devoid of any moral implications. What's true? What's not? Once you establish that, then you can decide what's best practice and what's moral and everything else. But you can't even get to that unless you establish what the fuck is true. That's why he was saying, is it true that men can or cannot get pregnant? That's what he was going for. That doesn't even enter the conversation. That doesn't even enter her thoughts. And the reason why she's offended by it, you'll see, like sometimes women will get really overworked. Like if you saw the Matt Walsh videos where he was talking about, what's a man, what is a woman, right? Women will lose their shit. They'll storm off the stage. They'll Frank Castle themselves, off of the interview, because they go into a kernel panic, man. They the progression wheel just keeps going around and around. They don't know what to, they don't know. The ellipsis keeps going across, right? Because they can't process that, because they lack the language, they lack the concept of that. That's because they live in their own solipsistic world of female. The female experience is the true experience. No one has probably ever confronted her on that. Certainly not in a public forum like this. No one has probably confronted her this way, and she just can't keep coming back to it. I'll let this finish. It's too good not to.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients, and I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women, and I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing, that is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange, because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time has nearly expired. I just want to thank the other witnesses for being here. Thank you for protecting women and children. Thank you.
There you go. All right. So Senator Hawley, go vote for him if he's your senator. I don't know why, if he's not mine, but I would vote for that dude. Now imagine this. Imagine Senator Hawley or someone like him is a part of British Parliament and sits there and says, no, you're fucking wrong. No, like men who would actually challenge this female specific gynocentric correct narrative. Female correct narrative. Everything women say is correct. Anything that men say that goes counter to that is misogyny. That's the you want polarization? There's your polarization. You want to know why that? You want to know why the divide between women's political radicalization and men's, more or less steady, up and down, sticking to conservative, ideas, is because conservatism tends to be based on empiricism, on what are the results, what are the numbers, what are the what's hierarchical, thinking, rationalism versus emotionalism. It's much easier to radicalize women than it is to radicalize men. And that's the thing. The problem, that's why they have to make up this cock and bull, narrative about the red pill, radicalizing young men. Why? Well, because they're worried that there's going to be some sort of obstacle to them becoming more like women. They're worried that they might not be able to condition the next generation of men, into going along with the feminine, or excuse me, the feminine imperative, the gynocentric social order. That's what worries them. So much so that they got 20 million British pounds to basically brainwash their young boy, no girls, only boys, so that they don't turn into Andrew Tate, because they're so worried about that. They think the radicalization is for men. That's another reason why when I see like Scott Galloway talking shit about lonely men, fuck you, Scott. It's the radicalized women that you need to be focusing on right now, because it's definitely not the guys. When you look at the polarization in ideology, when you look at the psychology, the evolved psyche of women, why is it easier to radicalize women than it is to radicalize men? You're worried that lonely guys are going to isolate and then get radicalized by me or Andrew Tate or Myron or whoever, God knows whoever else, because you won't name a fucking name. You're worried about that? But then you can go and see a graph where we can see, especially in South Korea, like it's astronomical. It's worldwide. It's not just here in the United States. It's everywhere. Why is that, Scott Galloway? And why are we focusing on shitting on guys when we should be looking at the radicalization of leftist progressivist women? Well, he's never going to say that because he himself is a radical leftist woman himself. He agrees with a lot of their same ideological bullshit. That's why he's basically he's a tool of gynocentrism. So is he going to? What's his purpose? The purpose of that tool is to make you think that it's really about we're worried that men are going to get radicalized. Bullshit. People that keep asking me about this, they keep saying, "Well, Rollo, when are you going to do the show on the female teacher student essay?" I'm just going to call it essay. Okay, Grape, statutory Grape, right? When are you going to? I have that coming up. I'm a little concerned about doing it because I don't know how to make it interesting. To be honest with you, I can give you the stats and I can give you like my ideas as to why it's transpiring, but I think the numbers more or less speak for themselves. We had 91 individual incidents, like separate incidents of a teacher, a female teacher, and they all fit the same profile, or more or less. They're anywhere between 24 and 40, I think. They all tend to be newly married. Most of the girls are fairly attractive. But they are in great numbers. 91 this year. Last year was 79. This year it was, or 2025, it was 91. 2024, it was 79. I keep track of these things as like people feed them to me on Instagram or they'll give it to me on Twitter, and I just keep a tally going. And the reason why I did that, the reason why I started that is because I wanted to draw attention to the fact that, not because, men do it too, women do. I don't even care about the incidents themselves. I think what's interesting is that we will spend 20 million British pounds to make sure that these boys are not radicalized by Andrew Tate, but we will not even allot $1 million British pounds to figure out why female teachers have a huge propensity to essentially, sexually assault, forcibly copulate. I'm trying to avoid the word, right? Because you can't even say that on YouTube, right? Why does that exist? Why does female teacher student SA exist? No one wants to cover that. No, Mac and Murphy won't touch that. Let's see, Steve Stewart Williams won't fucking touch that. Rob Henderson won't fucking touch that. No evolutionary psychologist will touch it with a 10-foot pole. They will not cover this. I'm the only one on this hill right now, as far as I know. I'm the only one keeping a tally of this and actually offering, like, here's what's going on. Here's what I think is happening, right? I'm the only one doing that. Meanwhile, we're worried about radicalizing we don't want them to be like the kid in adolescence that never existed. We're worried that that's a possibility. It's not a possibility. It's an actual reality, is women, female teachers essaying their underaged, below the age of consent boys. And I don't want to hear this bullshit about, oh, well, we should just, the boys enjoyed it. Or where were those teachers when I was in high school? Shut up. Either we have a common frame of justice. Either the law applies mutually to men and women, or it doesn't. I don't want to hear about, well, we need to lower the age of consent. We need whatever it is. I don't even want to hear stupid fucking arguments like that. As it stands right now, those women are breaking the same law that a guy would be breaking. And nobody says shit about it, and nobody cares about it. And the only person, like I said, was banging a gong about this is Rollo fucking Tomasi. I'm the only one who's saying this stuff. And thank you guys for giving me the contributions, because everybody goes, oh, what are we up to now, Rollo? They want to see what the running tally is, right? And these are separate incidents. These aren't like repeat offenders, right? These aren't like, an update to the story. These are separate incidents, 91 in 2025 alone. There were more incidents of female teacher student SA than there were incels killing little girls with a knife. There were more incidences of female teacher SA than there were boys being radicalized to drive trucks through, I don't know, National Organization of Women rallies. I don't know what the fuck it is. Like that, your worry, your concern, your overreaction is misplaced, ladies. But we're gonna go and we're gonna create NGOs. We're gonna put DHS money towards silencing people such as myself and Aaron Clary and the rest of it. We'll put money into those kind of programs, but we won't address the real epidemic that's right there in front of us. So, like, how do I make that interesting in a full video? I just gave you the whole breakdown. 91 in 2025, 79 in 2024. We're already up to 3 right now in January of 2026, right? Who knows if it'll be more? Who knows if it'll be less? Doesn't make any difference to me. I'm using that data to say your concern is misplaced. Your concern about the reason why they don't touch this is because they know we live in a gynocentric social order. Rob Henderson won't touch this. Alex from Date Psych, wherever the fuck he went, would never touch this. Mac and Murphy will not touch this. Chris Williamson, sure the fuck will never touch this. Never, ever touch that. I'll do it because I got nothing to lose by doing so. But you'll never hear Dr. Phil talking about that, or Steve Harvey, or any of these other, Oprah. Where's the concern, Oprah? What about our young boys? If they're below the age of consent, that's it. It's not about, and by the way, it's not about stupid consent. It's not about like, oh, we need to lower the age of consent because those boys really enjoyed it. It doesn't matter. Either we have a common standard of justice or we don't. Instead of telling me like, well, we need to lower this, what you should say is like, well, we should make the laws different for sexual assault from female teachers than we do for male teachers. Go ahead and say that and just like basically institutionalize sexism. Please do. You'll be a bigger idiot than me for actually having to tally up all this stuff, right? So I'm sick to death of hearing people say, well, men do it too. I'm sure they do. I don't know what those numbers are either. But there's far more women in education. As we know, 80% of your teachers from kindergarten to post-grad are going to be female. The law of averages says it's probably going to be a female teacher that gets with an underage boy. Simple as that. It's just mathematics, man. It's bound to happen. The pool is larger. That's all. So there you go. I saw in the chat, people were asking me, when is he going to talk about Pearl and Anna Kasparian and the route? Like, I was like, I watched 2 horrible failures in the last like couple of weeks. One was yesterday, and the 49ers just getting killed by that was a route. Okay. A similar route was Anna Kasparian and Pearl Davis on World War I or whatever it is. And again, there's a reason I haven't touched this. Because I don't need to. Do I need to? Do I have to? Like, I mean, what am I going to say that is going to ruin her more than her performance on this debate with Anna? Like, I'm not going to, like, I specifically avoided talking about it, right? Until you guys asked me about it right now. I didn't tweet one fucking thing. Aren't you proud of me? Like, it took a lot of fucking self-control, man. I didn't say shit. Right? Now, what I have entertained the idea of doing is actually going back to that and listening to what Anna Kasparian's talking points were, what her debate points were, which of course Pearl was completely unprepared for, which I've said a million fucking times. She doesn't know how to back up an argument. She knows how to toss out what other people in the red pill, myself and other people as well, what we've said in the past. She's good at like parroting it back. Like I said, she's a bad cover band of Rollo Tomasi. She can't back up any of the things that she talks about. And then when she gets somebody like Anna Kasparian on the opposite side and it just asks for simple data sets, she chokes. And of course, I've been saying this for years. But I was gonna actually, but I don't care about Pearl so much. I actually cared more about like Anna Kasparian stuff, because like I was like, okay, well, what if that was me? What if I had to like go up against Anna Kasparian and make the case for like feminism bad, right? I would be much better prepared for sure. I know how to debate. I did debate team. I did logic when I was in college. So as a general ed requirement, not because I excelled in it or anything like that, But I was wondering, like, because she was very like Anna has probably done college debate. She's probably had to prep for stuff, and I would say she's probably a little bit more diligent in doing her homework, because she was on the Young Turks, and like I'm sure she's been nailed to the wall herself over stats and figures and stuff like that as well. So I was actually entertaining the idea of like maybe even going back over it and like trying to figure out like what was she was saying and like what would I have countered that with. Debate again is not debate. It's just an inquisition. Everything she throws at Pearl is just like, Pearl, you're an idiot, and here's why. That's not debate. Like the debate we just saw a minute ago with Senator Hawley and Dr. Verma, that's a fucking debate. You know why? Because the truth, the objective was truth. The objective was, is this true or is this false? Can men get pregnant? Is that true or is that false? And on the opposite side, well, I don't know. It's a complex question, and I deal with different identities, and I would never want to say anything again. That doesn't fly when the object is truth. That's a real debate. Not you're an unreliable. Well, of course he implies that at the end because she simply refuses to ask the question. Right? They're trying to use Dr. Verma as some sort of character witness for whatever. I think it was like a Supreme Court decision, right? And there was a senatorial, inquiry, I guess, about the whole thing. And the guy, she simply wouldn't answer the question because she lacks the language to answer him, because she just simply doesn't think in empirical, objective terms. She thinks in subjective, emotional terms. And that's what women are predisposed to. They're not predisposed to reason and rationality. They're not imposed to empiricism. They're not. Their first stop is not empiricism, put it that way. I think people get me a little confused here because they say, well, you don't think women can be rational and reasonable? I think they can. Yes, absolutely they can. But it takes some work. It takes some effort. That's not the natural state. Like for guys, when we talk about, like I've said this before, instinct, emotion, and reason. For guys, men, instinct, of course, is your instincts, right? It's your autonomous reaction to your surroundings, to the stimuli from your environment, right? So if I was to throw something at Kyle, he would flinch, right? That's an instinct, right? Disgust, revulsion, like vomiting because you smelled something bad, that's instinct. To a greater degree, sexuality is instinctual. It's an instinctual response. So you think about all the things that are instinctual, those are really fast. They're so important to our survival as human beings that they are autonomous. They're really quick. Then there's emotion, right? What does emotion mean? Emotion is how you feel about that. Fight or flight, right? Are you scared? Are you angry? Right? There's 5 or 7 base emotions. I think maybe it's 5. And then from there, you can sort of mix and match those things to become more complex emotions, right? So when you're looking at emotions, that resides in sort of like the hypothalamus, or the hypothalamus. It's like there's the brainstem, like the hindbrain, the lizard brain, that's the instinct. And then the next sitting on top of that is like I want to say it's not corpus callosum because that's the gray matter. But it's the next step up, right? And then there's reason and rationality, right? There's learned truths, learned behaviors. That's the gray matter. That takes a lot longer than instinct and emotion. Now, women prioritize emotion before reason. So you have instinct is always there, no matter whether you're male or female. Instinct is instinct. Okay, so that's always the fastest. That's where we start. So it's instinct, emotion, and reason for women. For men, it's instinct, reason, and then emotion. That's what throws off. That's why we don't cry at the end of fucking Titanic. That's why we solve the problem. We pull the nail out of your head, and then we decide how we felt about that experience. So we solve men are deductive problem solvers. You guys talk about when men need a purpose. And you don't need meaning, you need a fucking purpose. What's your purpose? To solve fucking problems. That's what it is. To find out what's over that horizon, to build a bridge, to create the next fucking rocket to the moon, whatever it fucking is, whatever the frontier that needs to be explored, whatever the invention needs to be done, whatever the innovation is, that's men deductively solving problems. Why we have a computer? Why do I have a microphone? Why do I have these earphones? Because we were trying to solve problems deductively. We did it. It's done. Let's move on. Well, we're going to build technology upon technology, right? Great. All of that relies on men not worrying about what they felt about that fucking technology. It's about how do we solve this problem? How do we create something new? Men are more interested in things. Women are more interested in people. There's nothing wrong with that. Women aren't defective. Women aren't less because that's what they prioritize. It's just how we fucking are. It's just how our brain architecture is. The only reason why anyone would have a problem with that is because we live in a gynocentric social order that says we can be anything we want to. We can be, it's the blank slate. Like men and women are equal. The plumbing is different. That's all. Fuck you. It's not. The 4 laws of genetic behaviorism killed that. Once we plotted the human genome, once we started figuring shit out for ourselves, when genetically, all nature versus nurture, guess what? That was solved, and it's nature all the way down the fucking line. Nurture comes in for sure, environment and how you react to it for sure, but nurture is downstream from nature. That's why Verma couldn't answer the question, because she's prioritizing emotion before reason. Reason says, reason dictates, reason shows. Here it is, black and white, 2 + 2 is 4. Shows that this is the empirical data. This is the empirical truth. This is what this is. It's not your truth. It's the truth. You've probably heard that a million times. What is the objective reality? The objective reality is men cannot get pregnant. End of story. Stick a basic math. Basic fucking math. But then we have stuff like this. And now you want to know, I'm going to try to help you guys understand Dr. Verma here for a second. So this is the female mind trying to explain mathematics.
Tattoo on my rib cage that says 1 + 1 = 11.
Yes. Oh, my parents say that all the time.
Yeah, do they?
My parents say 1 + 1 is not
A 2
here, and it's 11.
It's 11, and it's a metaphor.
That's the perfect marriage.
You don't shape shift and
Never.
bend to change and mold yourself into a different structure than you were before you met the person. You stand side by side, equal, stronger, more cosmic. The number 11 is greater in mathematical terms than the number 2 anyway.
What? That's it. 1 + 1 is 11. It's a metaphor. It's cosmic truth. It's my truth. It's subjective. It's men. 1 + 1 is 2. Got it. Why? Because it's instinct, reason, and then emotion. For women, 1 + 1 is 11 because instinct, emotion, and then reason. If we even get to the reason part, right? Because emotion feels good. We want to keep feeling these good emotions, right?
No, you're wrong.
Yeah. 1 + 1 is 11, guys. 1 + 1 is 11. Unfucking believable. So, anyways, I wanted to sort of let's switch gears here a little bit. So the tweet that I was talking about earlier that sort of generated the topic for today's show is, I'll see if I can go find it. I thought I had it laid up here for a second. It's in my bookmarks. I'll have to show it to you on screen. It's really I have a Josh Hawley. That was fucking great. Anyways, I'll replay the video for you, but oh, I know what it was. It was Assortative Mating was the title of the tweet. Where'd it go? I guess I don't have it. Anyways, the idea was this: is that men will gladly choose the Applebee's waitress over, the boss babe, over the alpha female, right? And then you got guys like Mac and Murphy here who wants to tell you, well, let's throw this.
And will date an Applebee's waitress. It doesn't line up with the data that richer men tend to select richer women. More educated men tend to select more educated women.
Okay, this is categorically false, and I know he's got a couple of stats. Well, I've got a few stats of myself here as well. Let's see, where was that? Oh, it would have been in my history. Hang on a second. Where'd it go? Women choose the bear, men choose the Applebee's waitress. Here we go. Okay, so this was it right here. It was from a Science Direct article here, and it was this. Is that let's see, where'd it go? Okay, accept that. This is from the Science Direct article. Let me put this up on screen for you. There we go. Okay. So this is it right here. Mating markets and bargaining hands. Mate preferences. And let's see, this was as far back as 2016. I don't know what his data sets were showing, but a lot of people want to turn assortative mating into the new mate switching hypothesis. It sounds good. You know why? Because we live in a gynocentric social order, and God forbid we ever offend big sister. Okay, the sisterhood uber alles. So I'm going to explain to you guys why. This is actually an essay that I will have. I'm publishing it on Substack tomorrow. So if you subscribe to my Substack, I'm going to go into way more depth than I am here in today's show. But as to why assortative mating is sort of this old, antiquated, anachronistic way of thinking about like the sexual market, and actually mating strategies, I should say. So this right here is the research that I'm drawing from here. So wealthy men had weaker preferences for a partner. Wait, you know what? Let me put this one on here. Use this tab instead. There you go. Okay. Wealthier men, this is from that data set here. Wealthier men had weaker preferences for a partner with steady income, whereas wealthier women had a stronger preference for a partner with a steady income. Wealthier women, but not men, had a stronger preference for a partner who makes a lot of money. Okay. So this, again, I think I pulled this from something that Rob Henderson had been sharing way back in the day. There's multiple other sources where you can see what is it, stated preferences versus actualized preferences, right? So or state that you want, I want a good girl who is, has a good job and she's intellectual and she's got a Harvard degree and blah, 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 right? And who do they end up fucking? Or who do they want to fuck? The girls in the strip clubs, the girls on Access Vegas. The biology doesn't change. And that's kind of like the whole thing behind, Mac and Murphy talking about that, but he's not the only one. There's a lot of people saying the same thing. Because people want to say that, you guys are Neanderthals, like men choose high value men choose high value women. Why is this gaining traction? Why is there a popularity for this notion of like attracts like, right? As I was saying before, do I still have that up here? I do. Here it is. I usually bring this up, right? A regulated sexual society. Like if you look at the right side there, case 2, strict enforcement of lifelong monogamous bonds between men and women, the perfect dad society, right? 6s get with 6s, 7s get with 7s, 8s get with 8s, yada, yada, all the way on down the line. Okay. This, first of all, this regulated sexuality has never really existed per se. Especially when you look at, how powerful men have shared 3 common traits, which is territory, resources, and access to hot women, right? So right there, that kind of debunks a lot of the regulated sexuality side of things. But let's just say for sake of argument, this is correct, okay? Once the sexual revolution came around, then we have sexual freedom, right? Case without. Now this is exactly what hypergamy would dictate for us, right? Go watch Homath. I've got a Homath video about this here that I'll show you in just a moment. But without the constraints of societal constraints, women go and default to sexual freedom. They default to their original programming, which is hypergamy. Why is the chick smiling and giving eyes at Ted Bundy? This is why. That's why right there. Because that's the innate, natural, evolved response. They want those guys. The problem is that those guys at the top echelons, the 8s, 9s, and 10s anyways, are used to being rewarded with sex, are used to being rewarded with female attention. So when you look at those, if you looked at I'm going to give this one more time. If you look at the regulated sexuality, that's what they still think exists with assortative mating, right? Well, it's true that white men get with white women, and black women get with black men. Is that true now? Because go and look at any commercial in the UK right now, and you probably will disagree with that, right? Latinos get with Latinas, right? Filipinos get with Filipinas, right? Or people who are the same height tend to get with the same people. They seem at the same socioeconomic level, get with the same a 6 gets with a 6, a 7 gets with a 7, yada, yada, yada. And that might have been true prior to the sexual revolution. And I think that a lot of the fallback that a lot of these guys are sort of grifting on right now is the hope that, marriage, first of all, nobody's getting married, period. So using that as a metric for like success or failure of a mating strategy is kind of stupid in the 21st century, because we're at the lowest. If that were the case, why aren't people just lining up around the courthouse to go fucking get married, right? You and I, we're the same. We make the same amount of money, have the same amount of education, same height. We're going to have the same kind of babies. We're all homogenous. That's not how nature hates fucking homogeny. Trust me. Androgyny, homogeny is not something that is beneficial to a chaotic environment that's ever changing. That's why mutations exist, right? So the more we globalize and the more we have like liberated sexuality from, men and women, if you think about it, but like once the hormonal birth control hit, the game changed. And it's not like I keep seeing these articles about how, I'll play the video here in a second. I see these articles from like Louise Perry trying to explain to Jordan Peterson about what is known as evolutionary mismatch, or its evolutionary gap, however you want it. The technology exceeds our ability to process and use that technology to our advantage rather than our detriment, right? So the idea is that what is it? When did the Wright brothers learn to fly? It was like 1910, 1909, 1906, something like that. And then, so from the time we had the Wright brothers figure out, and Kitty Hawk, when was that? 1903.
December
We
17th.
learned how human beings learned how to put something in the fucking air in 1903.
12 seconds.
By 1966, we would put a man on the moon. We had jet engine. Yes, we did land on the fucking moon. Okay. But even if you disagree, we have jet engines, okay, in a very short amount of time. That's amazing. Technology advanced like just at a crazy exponential rate, starting in about the beginning of the 20th century. And so now we have plotted the human genome. Now we're fast approaching quantum computing. We have AI. We have all of these technologies that keep going faster and faster, and our ability to sort of decide what we're going to do with them and how they're going to impact human beings who are still Stone Age, hairless murder apes, as Mike always says. How are we going to deal with that? Why do guys get addicted to pornography? Well, because it's free and available, because our mating strategy is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. And what provides that in a virtual sense? Porn. Same thing. Well, why are women radicalizing to the left more and more and more? Well, because that's they're psychologically, and the female psyche is more predisposed to prioritizing emotion before reason. Okay, well, how do we capture more women? We appeal to that emotionality. Boom, now you've radicalized women in a very short amount of time. And I think she talks, who is it? Perry talks about this too. Where'd it go? No, that's not, isn't it? Oh. Got it. Okay. Here it is. Okay, this is Louise Perry talking to Jordan Peterson about it. What really she doesn't know the name of it, but it's evolutionary mismatch.
I mean, I think that one of the things that we've discovered from the rapid changes that technologically has brought to our lives is that we still basically have Stone Age brains. Our species spent 95% of its history in hunter-gathering mode, right? Our first and most successful adaptation. There are many important ways in which our minds have not been able to keep pace with technology. The pill is a great example of that. The pill has existed in our lives, in terms of a species, for all 5 minutes. It's an incredibly new thing. And the thing that I continually find from talking to women who have tried their darndest to have sex like men, to pretend that these differences don't exist, is that it makes them utterly miserable. 99% of the time it makes them utterly miserable. I'd say the same thing. I mean, I always think of something a friend told me about someone he knows who decided with his wife to experiment with polyamory, right? Having multiple partners, having convinced themselves that all this monogamy stuff was just old-fashioned nonsense, whatever, who cares? And the first time his wife had sex with another man, and he knew that this was what was happening, he found himself vomiting on the floor of his bathroom because he had tried so hard to override his supposedly socialized ideas about monogamy and so on. He tried so hard to override them, and actually in the end he couldn't, literally at a gut level, he couldn't do that.
Yes, because on an evolutionary level, remember we said about instinct, right? On an instinctual level, men make guard, men get jealous, men want to know that the baby that comes out of that woman is his fucking kid. It's not socialized, gender norms. As what have I been saying for forever? Biology is upstream from society. Biology, nurture is downstream from nature. The reason why he has this gut level revulsion to the act of his wife fucking another guy, it's not socialized anything. It's gut level, instinct level response to that particular environmental stimuli, whatever you want to call it, like that information, right? That's coming in. That's how he's processing that information. This is one of the reasons why I've always been against polyamory, because it goes against the jealousy instinct and it goes against the mate guarding instinct. And the reason why men are jealous, we have that jealousy, and women get jealous too, obviously, but for different reasons. The reason why guys feel that on a gut level is because for hundreds of thousands of years, for 200,000 years, your ancestors benefited from that impulse, from that jealousy. You are around, your DNA is around and was propagated through history to get to the point where you are and you're watching your wife get fucked, right? Now, here you are and you're feeling this. Why are you feeling this? Because every dude that came before you felt it too. And it was this insurance of paternity is what it was. It was an emotional response, instinctual response, but an instinctual response, and then an emotional feeling that comes after that about what was going on, about what's happening. The baby that might come out of this woman won't be mine. That's how important it is. I love it when women tell me well, I don't understand why guys think it's so important to have their own kids, right? Or if it's a single dad, single dads they're not the stepdad, they're the dad who stepped up. We're going to make that guy feel really noble about his own really self-cuckolding is what he's doing. But cuckoldry is a sexual strategy. It's how women can have babies. They can facilitate hypergamy. They can facilitate the alpha fucks and beta bucks, the short-term sexual, which is get the desired genetics, and the long-term security benefits. If you can't find it in one guy, then go for two. And men have known this for a very long time. That's why we have that. That's why guys, whenever their wife cheats on them, the first thing they say is, where did you fuck? Did you get off? Does he have a bigger dick than I had? Is it in my bed? Was it in the bathroom? Where did you do it? Did you suck his dick? They want specifics. They want to know exactly what it is. And women go, why would you torture yourself with that? Because I want to know that any baby that comes out of that cooter is not mine. That's why. Because if I don't, my DNA and my line goes extinct as a result of that. That they won't acknowledge that. They'll feel that. The cognition is not there because they just probably don't know the mechanics. They don't know the ultimate outcome. They only know the proximate outcome, which is I'm feeling like I need to know this. I can't tell you why I need to know this, but I need to know, did he get off and did you get off? I need to know this. And people, well, you're just going to torture yourself with that. Well, yeah, you are. So you don't make that fucking mistake again, And it's not it's not patriarchy. It's not, it's not like institutionalized monogamy, socially enforced monogamy. It's gut level. I want to know. I want to be 100% certain of paternity. That's why. That's why jealousy exists. Well, for men, women are jealous because they don't want to lose long-term security. Do you love her? That's the first question. A man cheats. Do you love her? I need to know if your resources and your support and your generosity is going to be even diverted slightly, fractionally to another woman, because that's going to lessen her ability to be certainty for long-term security. Those are why. That you want to know why women opt for social like redistribution of wealth programs like that, like socialism, anything that's egalitarian. Is the reason for that is because it's ensures security. That's why. Women would rather not hurt someone's feelings, or you have Dr. Verma there who won't answer the fucking question because she doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And though by doing so, she like steps away from the collective. She would be ostracized from girl world for admitting that men can't get pregnant by speaking the language of the enemy, which is empiricism. So when we have this collective, we have this group thing. People say, well, women are a hive mind. Yeah, but it's really, I don't think that it's something that is like conscious. I don't think it's something, hey girls, let's all get together and fuck with the guys by being socialists. That doesn't happen. It's just, it's innate and it's instinctual to think that there's safety in numbers. And if the long-term security need is part of the operating system, it's part of women's evolutionary firmware, because women are the vulnerable sex. When women get pregnant, they are vulnerable. They are physically, existentially vulnerable because they're gestating a child for 9 months. And then they have to nurture that child from infancy to self-sufficiency, which is what, 7 years, maybe? So a kid can run around and get away from danger and eat, and by that time she's got another kid that's on the way, right? In our evolutionary passes, as Louise Perry was saying, women were in some state of childcare. They were in some state of motherhood. There was only in the 20th and 21st century do women have the option not to do that. And guess what? They're doing it. They don't want to do it, right? Because they don't have to repopulate the world. We're all worried about fertility rates and shit like that. The reason for it is because we have an unregulated sexual marketplace. That's why. Because of a technology, because of hormonal birth control, which only puts one sex in control of reproduction, which is women. Women are eugenicists, right? You want to talk about eugenics? There's no one more eugenic than the modern female today. I'll have sex with this guy and have his baby, and then I'll marry this guy and tell him it's his baby. Or he'll have to accept that I'm a single mother, and he'll be a hero for doing it, right? So we change the social fabric. We change the guy he's not a cuckold for marrying a single mother. He's a hero. He's the man who stepped up. He's taking over the parental investment responsibilities of the guy who actually knocked me up, who I really wanted to fuck anyways because he was hot and I wanted to have his baby. And now I'm going to get schmo over here to pay for it. Women who can pull that off is an evolutionary jackpot. Evolutionary jackpot. That's why polyamory let you want that. Again, why is a jealousy response? To be a counterbalance to that. That's why. So when we're looking at like how women organize society, it's all based on just that. It's all based on the idea that communitarianism is the better way to do it rather than hierarchies, which is the male way of doing it. And when you try to restructure male organizations, like especially the workplace, if you like the American workplace in particular, capitalism is founded on male hierarchies, ostensibly, ideally, performance hierarchies. Now they could be dominance hierarchies and low. They're not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But they are definitely based on hierarchies, right? There's the CEO, COO, CFO, whatever, all the way on down to the janitor, I keep saying, right? So what happens when you put women into the American workplace? Then it's time for Bagel Tuesday, right? then it's time for, well, we're going to have a birthday. We need team building exercises. We want to put a ball pit in the communal area for all the employees. We need a pregnancy leave, which is not a bad idea, but all of these things that are specific to a group or a community of women, that comes into that workplace. And as a result, what was a lean, mean, competitive machine of American industry is now compromised because we have to consider women's needs first. Why do women get into positions of HR? Because they can control it. They can control it from that level. It's not the COO or CEO that controls the company. It's the HR director that controls the company. Because the CEO acts out of line, the HR director reports him and he's off. The HR director has more power than the CEO. Why? Because there's, it's based on community. Don't keep your dick in your pants. Don't say anything wrong. Do not say anything that will get you ostracized from what is now a collective. How do I get ostracized? You get canceled. You get fired. Even the suspicion of it. Anyway, let me put her back in again.
And I think that is, once you see that in modern life, these various ways in which our environments are maladapted to our instincts, you see it everywhere. And the task we have now, I suppose, is trying to, you can't uninvent the pill. It's not going to happen. The advice I give to women is to behave as if the pill doesn't exist, and you will probably make better sexual decisions. If you're having sex with someone on the condition that he absolutely does not become the father of your children, that's probably a really good indication that you shouldn't be having sex with him, So,
yeah, but that's not how women make decisions. They make decisions based on instinct, then emotion, and then reason. That's why her advice will always fail, because women do not prioritize that the logic order. They do not prioritize that processing of information order. In a way, it's funny how she's saying, well, we've discovered that because since the sexual revolution, that women can't have sex like men. I'd like to know what men are actually like who could. I would like to know what percentage of men could actually fuck like the modern woman can today, right? We already know that 80% of guys are unattractive, so we can just consider 80% of those guys off the fucking books. So 20%, well, at least most of those guys have to have some sort of value added. And then there's the Justin Wallers and the Jason Momoas and the Alan Richardsons of the world who get pussy in spite of themselves, right? I would like to see what the stats are. Like, who does she think that, well, women are having sex like men. What man is having sex like a woman today? Or what man has the opportunities to have sex like a woman today? That's the thing, is like when women use that double standard, they'll say, how come it is that when guys have sex, they're a superhero, but when women don't, they're a whore and they're a slut and everything, right? And because, Charlize Theron was talking about how she's 50 and she's fucking some guy who's like 25 or something like that. How great. And they're like, oh, this is great. And she, she's this hero of ours. I'm like, she's not impressive, because women can get sex easier than guys can. Show me the 50-year-old guy who can fuck the 25-year-old guy, and I'll stand up and give you the golf clap, right? Because that takes a lot. That is harder than it is for 50-year-old Charlize Theron to fuck a 25-year-old guy. Why is that even why is that a disconnect for women? Why do women have a problem with that reality? Well, because the female experience is the correct one. Men are subhuman. We don't even exist. We're not human beings. We're not people, right? As Homath would say, not people. Men are just simply, like most men to women, are just simply invisible. Anyways, I digress. So I wanted to throw the Louise Perry thing up there because it coincides a lot with what I'm talking about when it comes to assortative mating. Assortative mating is this idea, like I said before, it's the idea that like attracts like, more or less. Now, you can also say assortative mating exists in the animal kingdom. It does, but so does cuckoldry. So does, let's say, what sneaky fucker game. So there's a lot of things that exist in the animal kingdom, right? And when you try to compare those with what human behavior, you kind of have to just say, well, is that what we're really about? Okay. So when you're looking at the differences in attraction cues and attraction triggers between men and women, we are different. So in a society, nowhere prior to the sexual revolution, like prior to the pill, at no time prior did we think that guys didn't want to fuck young, hot chicks. Even today, we still do, sex sells. We understand what the sexual impulse is to a man, right? We have to do everything in our power to keep that in check. Men's sexual expression has to be kept in check. Don't jerk off. Johnny, you'll go blind. We have to keep that in check. Well, the reason for that is because we have, men have 17 times the testosterone, serum testosterone that women do. So we've known that for quite some time. We know it would be a non-issue for us to say, well, older men want to get with younger women, right? That wouldn't even be the case. But in the post-sexual revolution era, that's a controversial statement now. We can't say those things right now because it goes counter to the gynocentric social order. So how do we cover that up? How do we find some way to square that circle? In walks assortative mating. Now, why is assortative mating even being discussed right now? Because mate switching hypothesis, which I fully debunked, and I think a lot of other people have as well, has been swept under the carpet by a lot of the guys. Like 3 years ago, that's all we were talking about. David Buss says mate switching hypothesis is more correct than dual mating strategy, which is what I've been a proponent of forever because I see it. It's empirical. It's right in front of your fucking face, right? And then even Mack and Murphy has done research saying, it looks like dual mating strategy has pretty much debunked mate switching hypothesis. But the problem is dual mating strategy is not very flattering to the female ego. Women want to get alpha fucks, beta bucks. That's dual mating strategy. Women want short-term sexual benefits, genetic benefits from the hot guy in the foam cannon party, the alpha guy. I'm going to use alpha this time. Sorry. But the alpha guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break, she was drunk, he was cute, and one thing led to another. That's short-term. I want to fuck that guy. And if she has his baby, well, she's probably not going to abort it because that guy was good. Right? Maybe she can find as a single mother, maybe she can find a guy with benefits later on. And of course, we have social conventions and social institutions to promote that, to push that along, especially the church these days, right? But that dual mating strategy is alpha fucks and beta bucks. There are women look for a balance. They would prefer to find it in one guy, right? They would prefer to find a hot guy who is rich, funny, intelligent, loves his mom, puppy dogs and rainbows, but he's also hot and just rocks her world in bed, right? That's the guy that she wants to be a ride or die girl for. The problem is that guy is not forthcoming. The guys who would make even what is it? What's her name? Sheryl Sandberg, former CEO of Facebook, in her book Lean In, was saying exactly the same thing. Just like, fuck the hot guy in the foam cannon, or fuck the bad boy drummer. Fuck Jake. Fuck Jake Cope. Fuck the bad boy drummer. Fuck that guy. Have your fun in your hoe phase. And then by the time you get to be 30, there's going to be some guy who's going to appreciate you for who you are, girl. They're going to want an opinionated, smart woman who is, and he'll do his share of his egalitarian share of the housework, and he'll enjoy it, and he'll expect that to be the way things are, right? And over time, nothing becomes sexier, right? Well, over time, meaning you have no other choice. You can't get back with the other guy. You can't get back with the hot guy, because over time, he's the one that you're going to have to be fucking. It's the most depressing, ugly truth that women don't like to have spelled out for them. Dual mating strategy is the most robust, most verifiable, most obvious innate evolved mating strategy for females. Simply is. But we can't let that happen. Not in a female correct social order. So we tried it. We tried to find a counter for that with mate switching hypothesis, which was I'm gonna dumb it down for everybody, which stated that women only cheat when they're trying to level up, when they're trying to get to the guy who, like, they're with one guy and they want to get to the guy who makes more money or is more attentive or is more, he's the better deal. Like, they married this guy and they go, he's not really what I wanted. And so I'm going to cheat so I can get with the CEO of this company or the guy who's a higher value man. And again, the latent message of that was, guys, never let your guard down. Guys, always be performing. Guys, always be better than the guy that she could possibly get with. It's this never-ending chasing of your tails of performance. You can't let your guard down. All that bullshit about be your authentic self by fucking Chris Williamson, that it runs counter to mate switching hypothesis. You can't. You have to be better than you were 5 minutes ago and stay on top of it. And that has to, that it's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle. You have to keep doing that all the time. You have to be better than the guys she would want to get with. And I don't mean can get with, would want to get with, because desire is different from what you can get. Having is not getting, okay? So that was pretty much mate switching hypothesis until Steve Harvey's wife, whatever, decided that she wanted to bang their personal chef and her bodyguard, who in no way have anything like the status, the affluence, the wealth, the celebrity, the fame that Steve Harvey does. Guess what? Mate switching hypothesis. Dual mating strategy looks like a winner. Got to go back to that. Oh, we can't do that. Let's sweep mate switching hypothesis under the rug and let's cover it with assortative mating. And that's where we're at right now. That's the Applebee's waitress. So when we have this, when some guy has the audacity to say that men don't care about your careers, ladies, they care about how hot you are. They care about, like, they want to get with they would rather get with a woman, a hot Applebee's waitress, than they would the CEO of Fortune 500, the well-educated, Harvard-educated, law degree, whatever woman. And they'll say, well, you know, those people, like high-value men, get with high-value women. Let's look at how they do that evaluation. Mike Sartain, I presented this to Mark Sartain on the last Access Vegas, and it was the same video I was showing with Mac and Murphy on there. And he was like, well, first of all, there are fewer by this definition, fewer high-value men than there are women. And so Whole Math actually explains this pretty well. I'm gonna put this one on here really quick because Whole Math actually, I don't usually use a lot of Whole Math stuff, but this was like absolutely perfect for today's topic.
Break down Whole Math, it gets really, really simple.
I think this generation of men want to be chased like women.
Of course we do. Everyone wants to be pursued. It just feels good when a lot of people like you.
Like they just want to be treated like the woman.
Here's what you just said. What you just said is that you and your friends talk about your dating experiences. What you notice is that these guys want you to put in all the effort. Can you see why that might be, mathematically speaking?
It was expected of me to go ahead and respond and initiate these plans again. What?
Right. He doesn't need to make the effort because he's got a lot of other women making effort. You gotta hustle.
I just think as a man, you should be initiating these things and also chasing women, not the other way around.
The men who would pursue you are under here. You just have to get off your phone and get to know them. The problem is this is how you're meeting men. Instead of starting with men that you like, start with men that like you and pick your favorite one. Under no circumstances is this guy going to start being a gentleman. He doesn't have to.
This is such a good explanation about how it really goes down. A lot of women think, oh, all these men want to be chased. It's not that. It's that the men that they want have a lot of women under their belt, including the one that's talking here.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you the Whole Math part of that whole thing. That's the breakdown, right? Remember what we were talking about just a minute ago. Where to go? Here it is. We look at regulated sexuality versus sexual freedom. The problem is that we're expecting women to police themselves, to voluntarily regulate their own sexuality. That's the problem. The right side of this graph right here, we're talking about like a strict enforcement of lifelong monogamous. The strict enforcement has to come from women now because we are no longer allowed to do this anymore. Under regulated sexuality, yes, you might be able to make a good case for assortative mating. In a post-sexual revolution society, that doesn't happen because there are fewer men at the top, as Whole Math was explaining to you guys here. Those guys don't have to. And I love this bullshit. I've heard him say this at least on 2 separate occasions, maybe 3 separate occasions. When we say, well, you know, high value men are choosing women who are higher value women. No, they're not, because most of those guys, most men in general, don't have the option, don't have the luxury of picking women. Period. It is women who are picking the dude. not the dude picking the women. Unless you get to the point in your life where you're 36 years old, you made partner in the law firm, you're a surgeon, whatever, God bless them, a surgeon. Unless you are a self-made man and you have remained single right up until about you're starting to hit your like sort of your personal stride, your high point for your sexual market value as a guy. Most men never get there. They choose a woman the woman that they could get, and you will hear you'll get this from even on TikTok, even on Instagram. All this women will say men will get with the guy men will marry the woman who's the most immediate choice. That's right there. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because that's all they have. Most guys are optionless. Average men or average women don't want to get with average men. They want to get with the guy who's an 8, a 9, or a 10, as Homath was explaining right there. That throws your assortative mating theory out the fucking window. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we've been talking about this since 2004. We had this conversation that I'm having with you right now. This conversation, we went over this in dozens of forum threads on So Suave as far back as 2004, 2005. We've been talking about assortative mating that long. That's why when this started coming back up again, I'm like, here we fucking go again. Does this generation simply not know about like the nuances, the intricacies of it used to be called social matching theory. It wasn't assortative mating. It was social matching, right? And so in a local sexual marketplace, you might be able to make a case for that, right? Because it's an isolated sexual marketplace. So prior to the sexual revolution and prior to globalization, when all you had to choose from in a hunter-gatherer tribes, right, was someone from your own fucking tribe, right? You have 150 people. How many of those chicks are like fertile, single, ready to mingle, ready to wife up, right? Then you grow that to a city. Then you grow out to a state. Then you grow out to a nation. Now we are globalized right now. In a global sexual marketplace, assortative mating falls apart, especially in a gynocentric social order. That's why, all these women have such a problem getting with a guy who is of their equal status. Like they want to say, well, we want to have equal partners. Then no, you don't. That's why when guys lose their job or they get zeroed out, they're no longer equal to that woman, at least not socioeconomically. And that is the precursor to divorce. So when we're talking about like what men would like to get with, well, yeah, if a man is in a position to select any woman he wants, or because he's whatever, the only criteria he has is this chick hot? Now, guys who are high value dudes, like who are like, these Forbes, Fortune 500 guys or whatever, I don't know how they're defining what a high value guy is. Is that economically? Is that ambition? Is he an up and coming high value guy? Because remember, like you take a guy like Gary Vee. Gary Vee has a lot of money, divorced his wife not too long ago, and then just now married his personal assistant, who is a hot piece of ass. Don't get me wrong. He would never have been able to marry that chick, much less fuck that chick, when he was 25 years old and he was a come up and he didn't have any money. He was living in his fucking pickup truck or whatever it was. And the wife that he's with, that he just divorced, was the one who says, you know what, he's got some prospects. I think I'm going to stick it out with this guy, right? He could get with her, but he could never have gotten with a girl that's as choice as the chick that he's with right now. And he better stay on top of his game, because the moment he falls, the moment something happens, the moment the economic situation changes, she's fucking gone. Fucking gone. Because that's what it's predicated on. So you're looking at, that's the other thing that gets me, is like, we're going to talk about social matching theory. Well, that to me seems more unflattering to female nature than it does anything else. I know they're trying to veer away from dual mating strategy, but when we're looking at assortative mating, that's almost more offensive, because assortative mating implies that women are only looking for socioeconomic benefit. They're all whores. They're all gold diggers. They're all opportunistic. Like, it's not based on love. It's not based on emotional connection. It's not even based on like commonalities. It's based on a high value man gets with a high value woman. That's all it is. Fuck you. No, it's not. Gary Vee is a really good example of that. Gary Vee could have any chick he wanted, and guess what? He did. He got the chick that he wanted to get with. Probably having a better sexual experience with that chick right now. You're going to look it up. Yeah. Gary Vee's wife. She's not a bad looking chick, man. She's all right. Gary Vanderchuck. See? Certainly better than, I mean, she's kind of got that, she's going to coattail him is what she's going to do. She's going to pull a Kim Kiyosaki with him. Like, look at that picture right there. God, put that one up, put that one on. Right. There is no way this happens in the wild. There's no way this happens organically. Okay. There it is. There's the one, that one right there. There's no way this happens organically. Sorry, like unless you've got a 10-inch dick, this doesn't happen organically. All right. Gary Vaynerchuk. And here's what's going to happen, by the way, for the assortative mating thing is like, you're going to see more and more examples of guys who like what it's going to come down to is what your definition is of a high value guy. I want to point out another inconsistency here with this whole idea is hypergamy in its literal dictionary defined sense means the tendency for women to marry up. How did that come about? Well, in the 1950s, I forget the guy's name, was a sociologist who coined the term hypergamy because he was noticing that women in India, in the India caste system, like if there's like you have a rigorous caste system, was the tendency for those women to marry from a lower caste into the next caste up, or how high as they could get, right? That only exists if assortative mating is bullshit. That only exists. The desire for that only exists if assortative mating is let's say is not an innate mating strategy. It might be a socialized adaptation. It might be a means to an end. It might be due to like assortative mating might be the result. Remember, correlation is not causation, right? The causality of it doesn't necessarily mean that men are picking the CEO of, the high-powered attorney, Harvard-educated chick over the hot piece of ass Applebee's waitress. They're not picking that. They might have just happened to be in the same. Both got MBAs. They both went to Harvard. They both were in the same place, same time. They run in the same circles. There's a possibility that is simply a result or like the social or assortative mating is the result of proximity. It could just be they went to the same school. It could be they work at the same company. It could be that they both play racquetball at the same fucking racquetball club where all the rich people fucking, or they play golf or whatever the fuck it is, right? Or her highfalutin, high value female friends happen to know his high value female friends and they introduce them together, right? They're running in different social strata. It's not that he's picking that. Like I was talking about this on Access Vegas, and one of the girls who was on there, her name was Aisha. She's the black girl that was on there, and she used to be a dancer in a club. She said we would have guys who were like CEOs and attorneys and very high, economically high value men who come into the club because they want to fuck strippers. Not because they're Harvard educated strippers, but they're fucking hot, big titty strippers. That's why. It's because men, and here's the thing is it's like this fundamental like rejections, fundamental ignorance, like willful ignorance of what Clav was just saying. It's about appearance. It's about looks. It's about like sex appeal. It's about the proximate goal of tapping that ass. People want to say that when we get into marriage, when we get into pair bonding, we get into whatever form of monogamy you're gonna call it right now. We're gonna say that that's the result of a choice, but that's not the result of a choice. Not a result of the guy's choice for the most part. I'm not saying some men can't choose; they can, but they're still like they might marry the high powered, high valued alpha male, alpha female chick, but they're still fucking her hot best friend who happens to be a Swimsuit USA pageant winner. Right? Who do they want to get with, and who do they actually get with? So it's like even Mac and Murphy has to admit this. There's a fundamental difference between stated goals, or preferred outcomes versus actualized outcomes. So when we talk about like, oh, well, men would rather get with the guy or get with the the Applebee's the hot Applebee's waitress, right? Well, yeah, of course they would, because that follows their mating strategy. She's hot. Men want to get with women who show outward signs, physical cues, hourglass, big tits. But really, what is it? It's fertility, youth, fertility, and availability. If he's a high value guy, the availability is there because she's going to want to get with the guy anyways, but he still has to look good. He still has to be there. Still has to be some sort of appeal between the two of them, right? It starts with the physical. And that's what women want to say, well, men, all they care about is a hot piece of ass. Yeah. Yeah. And from there, we can develop into conversations, and I can discover you're a really cool chick and you have insight and you're smart and you're going to carry on a conversation with you. But that doesn't happen unless I want to tap that ass. I love when people go like, Rolo, how did you vet for Ms. Tomasi? I'm like, I didn't. I looked at her and I said, that is a fucking fine ass piece of ass. I want to get in that. I want to get all up in that. And thank God I did, right? Because I'm better off because I did that, right? My proximate outcome was I want to bang this blonde with long hair and long legs and nice boobs, man. That was all I was thinking of. I wasn't going, I wonder if she'd be somebody I could sit down on the couch and have intellectual talks with. And
wifey material.
I wonder if she's wifey material. I wonder if she'll be a great mother for my kids. That process, although it might happen later on, isn't the first process. So in the decision, like if I can decide, because most guys don't even give them, they're so unused to sexual selection that never even crosses their mind. They can't believe this hot piece of ass is sucking my dick. She could be the Applebee's waitress or the CEO of Facebook. It doesn't matter, man. I mean, that's certainly it's icing on the cake if she's got money, but like, is she hot or is she not? That's number one priority. Men know within a split second, if that, like less than a second, if that woman is sexually viable. And how do we know? Well, OnlyFans makes money off of this every day. Why does the CEO of some Fortune 500 company still toss out, is still a pay pig for OnlyFans girls, right? Why is it that, let's see, why is it that, what is it, Sophia Rain? Sophie Rain, $95 million. I just saw that. I think it's $95 million in the last year. Sophia Rain.
Yeah, Sophia Rain.
Per month, $3 to $4 million monthly.
She's claimed $95 million in gross over 2 years.
$5 million in 2 years.
Peaking $6 million.
Hey, wow. She's a high value woman.
Yeah.
According to the definition and the stats that Mac and Murphy's going to quote to Chris Williamson, Sophie Rain is a high value woman. Do you think she's going to get with her socioeconomic peer? No, she's not. Do you think she's going to quit the industry because it's Pretty Woman, because Richard Gere showed up and he's a rich industrialist? He's going to lift her out of this $95 million a year, job that she has? No, that's not going to fucking happen, because all of that assortative mating bullshit flies out the fucking window, because it's all based on social constructionism. There, I said it. Dual mating strategy based on physical evolved realities. Yes, women are opportunistic. Yes, women base their sense of love on opportunism. Men base their sense of love on idealism. It's not about whether, no guy cares what your career is. Fuck, if I see Sophie Rain, she's got $95 million, I'm like going, I wonder if I can get 95. I wonder if I can get some money out of this chick. No, she's a hot piece of ass. I want to get out. The guys who are paying her this, they don't have any hope of getting with her. Are you kidding? They don't want to deal with that. Right? But that's the reality on the ground. And women. So why is this? So now we've established that assortative mating is cope. Okay. At the very least, it's questionable. Okay. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It does. It's like if you rejigger the numbers and you rejigger the definition. People love it when I use the term rejigger. When I rejigger, you rejigger all of the definitions and you make it work for whatever you are proposing as your data sets and stuff like that. Sure. by those definitions. Okay. But the fact of the matter is dual mating strategy is still, even in spite of that, however you define it, is still a far more viable, more robust explanation for mating strategies amongst men and women, well, amongst women, and then men, hypergamy, right? That's why people wonder why I keep using hypergamy kind of like synonymously with dual mating strategies, because I broadened the definition of hypergamy to include alpha fucks. It's not just about marrying up. That's I will also, but while I'm at it, Monica Almaguer had some video out recently about how like men are hypergamous too. No, Monica, they're not, because of everything I just described. Men do not have an attraction floor. Women have an attraction floor. Men will be happy to slump bust with a no one's ugly after 2 a.m. Okay.
Few shots in.
Yeah, few shots. She's three beers and I'll do it. Right. That's there. You know, it's like Tom Likas, God rest his soul. I know he's not dead, but he might as well be. He put it really well. He says, for men, sex is like taking a piss. Would you like to take a piss at the Wynn, at the top of the Wynn in the penthouse suite and gold toilets and gold faucets and everything, and you want to have a really good experience taking a piss? Yes, you would. But when you really got to go, the dirty gas station bathroom will do just as well, right? Because when you got to do it, you got to do it.
There's post-nut clarity for a reason.
Yes. Men and women compare things and they can objectively say, well, this is better than this. Yes, but only women are hypergamous because it relates to their sexual strategy, their mating strategy. Women can't look up to a man who's not her, or can't look up to a man who is her equal. She's always looking for one step above. Hypergamy does not seek its own level. It is always looking for a unmerited better deal. Why wouldn't it? Right? And again, nothing wrong with this. I'm giving you the data and I'm giving you the realities. I'm giving you the objective truth about this. I'm not saying, oh, women are duplicitous whores. Well, guess what? You're going to have to figure that out, because the truth, the game that you're playing, is the fact that women tend to be opportunistic, whether it's sexual opportunism or economic opportunism. Do you want to deal with that? Fine. Go. Don't. Okay. Go jerk off in the corner somewhere. Go be a cook. Go stroke off to porn, man.
Every hotel got a chair for you.
Yeah, every hotel has a chair for you. That's true. But that's the thing, is like I'm not saying, if anything, hypergamy has been a net benefit to the human race, because it's increasingly made, logically, I mean, theoretically speaking, it's made for better men. Obviously not, but like it's making for guys, it's for women wanting to get better out of that caste system. They want to get into the next level up. The best relationship is if the guy is 1 point above her in sexual market value, perceived sexual market value, I should say. So if you got a woman who's a 7, it's best if you're an 8, because you can keep a 7 in line, because she's going to worship your dick, right? She's going to be the one who's the ride or die girl. If you're an 8 and she's an 8, well, then you got parity issues right there. If she's a 9 and you're an 8, well, guess what? Now you're in her frame.
It's approximate, right?
Yeah.
But people always trying to generalize.
Well, the thing about the thing about this is, like, a lot of people want to think that men are hypergamous too. Well, they want to get with the best they can get with too. Yeah, they can, but will they fuck the stripper in the alley outside of the club? Yes, they will.
Opportunistic hunters.
They will, because yeah, exactly. Men are our selected breeders, right? We want to spread the seed. If a chick, like I said before, when I saw my wife in the club that night, I wasn't like, I think we'll wait till marriage. No, I was like, I want to knock it out with this chick right now, right? Because that was my imperative. She was hot, she was young, she looked good. I was ready to go. Let's go. Are you down? Yes. Okay, I'm down too. Let's go.
You know, bears spend 3 days fucking, and then the male just goes for the next woman.
Bolts. Yeah, bails out, man. All right, let me get to some of these here real quick. Do you think economics with cost of living can be a primary cause of the low birth rate? Yes. Normal people punished, unproductive, rewarded with welfare state. Thanks. Yeah. That there's a lot of research. Research shows there's a lot of data that shows that men, especially men today, they're never, so, like economically speaking, they're never going to be able to afford a home. They're never going to be able to afford, like that they don't rent anyways. They're never going to be able to become economically desirable, according to Scott Galloway. They're never going to be able to do that because they're just like statistically, odds are you're never going to be able to so how does that affect people in as far as assortative mating is concerned? They're never going to get to that point. You're never going to own a home. And that's by design. So how is that affecting the birth rate? Well, because as I said before, average women do not want to fuck or do not want to get with average men. They believe they are, as Homath said, right? They believe they're entitled to 8s, 9s, and 10s. And when that's not forthcoming, there's an entire infrastructure. You know, how do you radicalize women? That's how you do it. Like you say, well, you're entitled to this. You go, girl. You don't settle for anything less. You want to know why the birth rates are down? Well, sure, it's hormonal birth control. Sure, it's the abortions, on-demand abortions. Sure. But let's blame it all on the guys. Let's blame it all. Guys won't meet us. Guys won't play the feminist, gynocentric game with us. They won't participate. They won't cooperate. No, they can't. They can't cooperate. Even if they wanted to, they can't. That's why I kept saying, when we're talking about like responsibility and authority, right? Well, men just need to be more responsible and they need to like man up and they need to make themselves the best they can be so they can solve women's problems, right? But the thing is, the authority is never going to be there. And even when you are raised and you are like, you live most of your life, 25, 30 years of your life, to be thankful for when a woman even like holds your eye contact a beat longer, you're not choosing them, okay? They're choosing you. Most men don't choose. They don't vet. They don't choose. They're in the right place at the right fucking time, and they think it's an act of God. They think it's fate. That's why you say, oh, did you get lucky? Yeah, lucky. Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's about being, I was lucky. Lucky that she would get with a guy like me, because I'm a dork. Yeah, that's the attitude. That's scarcity mentality is what that is. Women hate that shit too. They want a guy who's like, they don't want to, women want a man who other men want to be and other women want to fuck. That implies abundance. They better be the ones that are coming up to you instead of you going up to them. That's the deal. But yes, as far as the birth rate is concerned, yes, there are definitely economic factors that are involved in that. Normal people punished with taxes in call to pay for welfare state dependence, birth rate, a low birth rate, import more welfare dependent and fix the birth rate. Yeah. Yes, but it's not about fixing the birth rate. You got to remember that the birth rate, the flat or the declining birth, the below replacement level birth rate certainly for the United States started in 1975. It wasn't, we've been dealing with a declining birth rate for forever, long before the countries that are now complaining about low fertility rates and below replacement level fertility rates are the same ones who have been experiencing it long before they started importing, immigrants from Somalia or wherever the fuck they're bringing them in from, long before that. So it's not just about like immigration or we need to get more voters in here. Well, that might have something to do with it, but the fact of the matter is because you've allowed women into your body politic. You've allowed women to organize society. What feels better? It feels right to let these poor, underserved, underdeveloped, third world immigrants into our country because we want them to come in and we want to take care of them. And we're all going to be one big happy family and blah, blah. That's a female way of thinking. Men tend to be more nationalist and tend to be more protective of the tribe. Women want inclusivity. It's communitarianism. That communitarianism predisposes women who, when they get political power, are more likely to, vote for and initiate wealth redistribution policies. And why? Because we want to serve the most. We want everybody to be happy. Because the worst thing in the world is to be ostracized from the group. And the only people that they want to ostracize are the very people who would protect them. The white men. They want to kick them out. They want to push them out. Everybody's okay except for those guys. except for well, I shouldn't even say white men, just except for the masculine men, guys who won't toe the party line, guys who won't come over to us and be radicalized, guys who won't recognize the sisterhood of Borealis, guys who won't play along with that. You're out. You won't play along with the rest of us. You're wrong. You want to know, like whenever I hear it's usually men that do this. Women will do this all the time, but like men will do this as well. Is whenever I talk about an unflattering truth about female nature, especially on Twitter. Twitter is just like, it's like open. You're putting a target on yourself when you do that. But if I say, well, women are X, right? Some dude, I guarantee you, within 5 minutes of me tweeting that tweet, some dude's going to go, well, men do it too, and they're 10 times worse. How come you never talk about the men? Or if you talk about like abortion, right? Women are the arbiters of abortion. Like, women are the ones who decide whether the child lives or not. Men have no say whatsoever. Her body, her choice. Have no say whatsoever. Hell, they'll say this on the Senate floor. Men don't have a seat at the table here because you don't have a uterus, right? Okay, I don't. I guess that means that anytime a woman decides to have an abortion, it's on her. I bring this up with tradcons all the time. If you think abortion is murder, are you willing to prosecute those women for murder one? Well, what about the guy? What about the father who didn't, it should be his responsibility too. That was even one of the questions Anna Kasparian was presented with from Pearl. Do you think that men should be able to opt out of childcare if they don't want the child? Well, yeah, it's their responsibility, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm saying that the reason why we think that is because we have a female correct society. So when I produce some sort of unflattering fact about female nature, everybody wants to balance it as the yin and the yang. Well, if we talk about women and it sounds even hints at being somewhat negative, then we also have to present a negative about men. So it's not women making the decision to kill a child. Well, the men shouldn't have just kept their peckers in their pants anyways. Doesn't matter. That's post facto rationalization. It's after the fact. She's already pregnant. Men don't get to decide. She gets to decide. Is she guilty of murder one? Yes, she is. If abortion is murder, then yes, she is. And then we move on to two other discussions after that. But the thing is there's always going to be that, there's always going to try to do that counterbalance. Well, men do it too. Okay. If I go and I say, well, men are boneheads because they don't communicate the way women do. Or if I say, well, men are predisposed to their dicks, right? They're ejaculate and evacuate. If I say something that sounds even somewhat, there are a lot of unflattering, realities about male nature. If I go and I relate one of those, no one, like crickets, man. I don't hear. No one says jack shit about, well, women are just as bad as men. Never does that happen. Never. You don't get that fucking tweet. Okay. That never happens. Why is that? Well, because women are wonderful. Because we don't like women. Damage to women is weighted heavier than damage to men. And the reason for that is, well, first of all, there's evolutionary reasons for that. But in a societal sense, the reason why is because we live in a female correct social order. So according to Anna Kasparian, yes, men should be the ones taking responsibility for their kids. Great. I'm all for that. I'm also for mandatory DNA testing to make sure that kid is their kid. I would throw that caveat in there too. That's when women will wiggle like an eel in the weeds, man. Well, you can't do that. It's like calling her a whore. No, that's me making sure that the money I'm about to invest in are in my fucking genes. That's why you want to talk, like I was talking about, body count. One of the reasons why body count is important is because men want to know paternity. That's the nuts and bolts of it. It's controversial because women know that they can't, like in the digital age, they can't cover up their digital footprint or even the hint of it, right? So if a woman does OnlyFans or she's in porn or she's she's just a party girl and she's on Instagram, that stays there forever. Why is it that women won't post, pictures of their boyfriend? They're embarrassed to have a boyfriend and they won't post pictures of their boyfriend on Instagram. Oh, it must be his fault. No, that's because she doesn't want to lose market share. She doesn't want to lose the image or the illusion of sexual availability. That's an unflattering truth. I'm not allowed to say that because it's a female correct social order. If I say that, I'm an evil misogynist. You want to know why I'm never going on Chris Williamson? That's fucking why. Because I'm not willing to toe this, artsy fartsy, tea leaf bullshit. And because I'm speaking from the language of empiricism. I'm Senator Hawley trying to talk to a guy who's Dr. Verma. It doesn't happen. They don't want, because if they do, it ruins their narrative. Anyways, I digress. What's this? Man, I cringe listening to Dr. John Delony lecture men when I know it's from a gynocentric world. Yes, because he lines up with feminine correctness. John Delony, if you listen to you just have some sort of general sense of what his worldview might be, men are bad, women are good. I've been reading tweets, you find them all the time, how men just suck. Men are lonely, good, they should be lonelier. You say the same thing, or you say something similar about women, and you'll lose your account. I would argue that John Delony he's part of the problem, obviously, but I would argue that he can't afford not to do that, because the only reason his channel exists and he makes the kind of money he does off of YouTube or whatever it is, you know how much money I make off this channel every freaking month? Like, I'm lucky if I get like $3,000. I'm lucky if I get like another $3,000 off the Clips channel, if that. These guys are making $50,000, $100,000 a month because they're willing to toe the line. They'll say what the algorithm wants them to say. And what is that? Men are subhuman. You're not human. Unless you can go to therapy and be more like a chick, you're not human. Kentucky has a 50-50 default custody. That's where I was hearing it from. And had a 25% drop in divorces. Yeah. I wonder if the marriage rates have dropped too. Probably. Because now it's shared risk. Remember how James Sexton always says you have a prenup with either the state or you have one with him? That, guess what? That's the deal with the state, the prenup with the state just changed. Which gender dynamic topic do you think the midterm elections will focus on this time? It's going to be manosphere stuff. It's going to be toxic masculinity will be it. Because it'll be so easy to wipe that off on Trump. Last time, the last midterms, which was in 2022, it was about it was about abortion, is what it was. Because remember when the SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the USA, leaked the memo that they might be kicking Roe v. Wade back to the states. And everyone lost their fucking mind just over the leak. And guess what? It wasn't a leak. That's actually what they were doing. And I think that was the year Ruth Bader Ginsburg died too. I don't remember. But the fact of the matter is like, that was the election fear. And remember, women are emotion-based voters. If they fear they're going to lose abortion, then they're going to vote for whoever's going to ensure abortion. Of course, it didn't work out that way. And then I should also point this out too, because when we were on the topic of fertility rates during 2022, Elon Musk, the guy who rambles on and on and on about fertility rates dropping, and boy, this is a international worldwide crisis. This guy who has 14 kids with 8 baby mamas, like, this is the guy that approved the abortion stipends at SpaceX and Tesla, meaning that when this was in 2022, go look it up. You'll find it. It's everywhere. Just say Tesla abortion stipends or abortion passes or whatever. And what it was meant to do was to allow female Tesla employees who got pregnant, who wanted to have an abortion, to cross state lines into a pro-abortion state, get the abortion, and then come back and go back to work. That's what it was for. To this date, they have not changed that. 2026, still instated, still there. So Elon Musk, shut the fuck up about fertility rates until you remove that, until you can show some sort of definitive action that you want women to have more babies, which would be removing these fucking stipends. then shut the fuck up. You got no leg to fucking stand on when it comes to you're like banging a gong about the fucking fertility rates. I have more fucking standing to talk about that. Because my company's not encouraging it. Right? That seems pretty that seems like that's going to in some way affect the fertility rate. Your corporate policies affect the fertility rate. Perfect example of radicalization, Renee Good. I don't know who Renee Good is. Someone will find it. I wonder how many female chaos. I wonder how many female teachers told their victims, please don't tell anyone. It's impossible to convince me they are damaged. They're not.
This is Renee.
Renee? What does she do?
She's the person that
Oh, she's the one that got shot and
yeah.
Okay. All right. Can AI help raise human consciousness so that men and women overcome petty ideologies, or will AI accelerate human dysgenics? Dude, I don't know. I'll just tell you straight up. I don't know, because I don't know how far AI is going to go. Once again, I'll just repeat myself. My main concern with AI is not that it's going to take your jobs. My concern with AI is that it's going to retcon the truth, and people are going to believe that truth. For example, I was talking about it wasn't birth rates. It was something with. Anyways, I had Grok on there. I know what it was. It was somebody was talking to me about I think it started off with abortions, or things that men's sexuality is evil, and then I said, well, Grok, how many women? Is it true that 50% of women in the United States have a plan B, meaning they know a guy that they can go fuck, and it's their fallback guy if things go sideways with their relationship or the marriage? I know this for a fact because I've been studying this. I've been writing articles about it since 2014. Right? Grok goes, well, yeah, that is true. It comes from a 2014 study, but more recent studies say that only 16% of women have Plan B. I looked it up again. I went to Google to the Google AI and I put in I said, what are the statistics for women having a Plan B? And Grok presented its data saying that what I was talking about, the 50%, was from 2014. And the most recent one, which was 2019, was only 16%. Guess what? There's even more recent data than that show that it's about 50 or 60% right now from 2024, 2025. I even asked Grok about this. I said, well, what about the Google AI seems to be a little bit more reliable here, because you are neglecting to talk about all of these separate studies that show that aren't as old as 2014, and they're not as recent as 2019. There's dozens of other studies, as a matter of fact, from 2014, 2016, 2019, 2024, 2025, as recently as 2025, about how women maintain a backup partner. Why are you not saying that, Grok? Why are you not including that into your summation here? Because most people will go, Grok, is this true? And then it'll be like the tweet will say, it'll back up, or it'll counteract whatever they're saying. And they leave it at that. No, Grok is lying to you. Grok is programmed to tell you what it's supposed to do. And guess what it's supposed to do? Uphold the female correct narrative. That's why it says, well, in 2014, it says there's 50%, but it's really more like 16 right now. No, according to the 2024, 2025 polls and that research, it's about 60%. So how come, and I even said this, I was talking to Grok like it's actually a human being, right? Like, how come you don't include this in your summation? Well, I was trying to, make a mean average from the lowest to the highest and everything. I get this bullshit. It's bullshit because it's fucking misleading is what it is. And, okay. And so if it's misleading, how is it meant to sway your opinion? How is it meant to establish, or in this case, retcon truth? That's the problem with AI. It's not, it's going to take your jobs. It's not that it's going to create better porn than OnlyFans, although it might. That's not the problem. Is it's going to retcon truth, and people are going to use Grok or Google or ChatGPT or whatever your favorite, large language model happens to be. Whatever that is, it's going to set there is no impartial, no unjaded, no unwoke AI right now. So when people go, Gruck, is this true? I roll my eyes, because it's like you're appealing to an AI that's going to tell you what the female's primary social order wants you to think. That's why. And it might not be that it was intentionally, although I have my doubts, but might not be that it was intentionally written, like the code was written to do that. It's just simply taking a plethora of information off the internet, and it's aggregating all of that. And if that aggregate is part of a female specific gynocentric social order, that gynocentric social order is what you're going to get in your return. That's what it's going to be. AI is more dangerous as a truth source, an authority on truth than anything else. And that will end up fucking things up way faster than worrying about, fertility rates or anything like that. Female teacher, SA, boy student equals mate switching debunked. Yes, thank you. Yes, it does. Why would they get with that guy? Why would they want to get with a 15? Why would a married 24-year-old woman who's ostensibly married to let's say a higher value man who's a teacher and wants to get with a 15-year-old boy? Must be dual mating strategy. That methinks that makes more sense. Yes. Yeah. Another reason they won't touch that. Hey, Rolo, 1, is it possible for a beta male father to have an alpha male son? Yeah. If yes, how does that affect their relationship? I can tell you, I can give you stories actually. Would the father betray his son if the son cheats on his girlfriend? Probably. Most guys, not just don't have to be a father and son. Excuse me. Most guys will sell you out, especially beta male, like blue pill beta male guys think that's the right thing to do. Well, I'm going to tell his girlfriend that he's been cheating on her. Women, on the other hand, will, especially if it serves an optimal hypergamous end, women will take a secret to the grave. They will not tell you. Like, they won't tell you that the baby's not yours. Like, her girlfriends will not tell you that the baby's not hers. They will. If a woman cheats, her girlfriends are not going to do the right thing and tell you as a husband. You're going to have to figure that out on your own. The sisterhood has way more solidarity than the brotherhood. Remember, because guys compete. Guys work in hierarchies. Guys have a sense of duty. Guys have a sense of loyalty. Which is all developed, by the way, because we look at things in hierarchies. Women want to keep the peace. They don't want to rock the boat. You know why? I forget. This might be a federal thing, but I know that in certain states, healthcare professionals, like men, right, and nurses, I guess female nurses as well. You're not allowed to tell the father of the child that the child is not his. Like, he's not the biological father. You're only allowed to explain that to the woman, right? Okay, your son, your daughter has some sort of genetic disorder, and we need to do a blood test, and then we need to take blood from your husband because we want to see if maybe the kidney's a match or something like that. You want to find out that there's some sort of, like, we need to compare. It's a DNA test. The guy's never asked for one in his life. He thinks the kids are his, and happens to be that, like, oh, he doesn't have the same blood type as his children do, right? Or he's genetically not a match. They're required by law not to tell the husband that he's not the biological father. Why is that? Because there's a presumption that doing so would prompt that guy to violence. It would prompt that guy to acting out. It would prompt to suicide, maybe killing himself, killing wife, killing kids, whatever it is. There's a presumption that his default response is going to be to end up in anger and violence. And the reason why does that law exist? Well, first of all, it's the Duluth model of feminism. Men are always the aggressors. And then second of all, it's also wanting to keep the peace of the collective. It's in the child's best interest. It's in the family's best interest that he doesn't know. Although it's very important. It's one of the most important things for men in their lifetime to know genetic legacy, to know that the kid that comes out, his DNA is in this child, because otherwise it's a waste of his resources. Women don't understand that. Like, I love it when, like, I see these tweets all the time where the women go, well, how come men have such a problem with the fact that, the kid's not actually theirs? I mean, don't all kids need a father? And it's like, of course, the counter question to that is like, well, if your child was switched in the delivery room or in the whatever with another child, and you left and you went home with a different child that wasn't actually yours, would you be pissed off about that? Most women will say, yeah, because they want their own kid. Well, same shit, but we don't worry about it. When men do it, they get angry and it's misogyny, and we want to know that the kids are. The only reason you would be getting a DNA test of your own children is because, well, you think she's a whore. Well, and again, it might not even necessarily be that. It might be she's a single mother and she needs benefits from the guy who can provide her long-term security. So why? Because of the collective. There needs to be a collective. That's, you want to know why we've gone from, like, back prior to the sexual revolution, to be an unwed mother was a scandal. I talked to my mother-in-law, who is 80 years old, and she's told me stories like back in the day when she was in high school, that if a girl got pregnant, they had to do what was called putting her away. And so what happened is they would remove her from the school, she would carry the baby to term, and then the baby would either be put out for adoption or the baby would go with the grandparents, and the grandparents would raise it, because it was such a stigma and such a social disgrace for a woman to have a baby out of wedlock. Today, like aggregated, 42% of babies born today are out of wedlock. In the Black community, it is 77%. In the Latino community, 49%. Asian and whites have the lowest rate, by the way. I was just going to point that out. But if you took them all together and you mix them all together, then it's 42%, right? And now to be a single mother is to be is a point of pride. That stigma is all gone. And it's only happened when? Since the sexual revolution, since the empowerment of women, since the rise of the gynocentric social order. Because it's more important for the collective. It's more important for communitarianism. It's more important to keep the peace. That's why. I'm a CEO, and trust me, a hot woman that is in financial need and low statistic comes with less drama. I'll take it any day. Yeah. This is the thing, is like, when thank you for the super chat. It's really kind of thought provoking here. Is that first of all, the idea that like guys actually have some sort of, most guys have, everybody can, guys pick, they vet, no, they don't. They take what they can get. 80% of men are unattractive, but the guys who can, the dude, like he was just saying, right, the guys who can select. And when they say, yeah, I want to, like, most guys aren't going to say, yeah, I want a hot piece of ass, because that goes against the female's primary social order. You're not supposed, I am 40 years old. I'm worth $10 million. I have a high status job. I am well respected and well liked. I'm funny. I have all this great stuff. And if I go, I want to get with a 25-year-old girl, that's not age appropriate. How dare you? You're supposed to get with a girl who's 38 years old or whatever it is. Right? I'm 40 years old and I'm thinking I might want to nail that 20-year-old bartender over there. Guys don't express that preference, because they know what's attached to that preference. You got to have some balls. So you better be very, very cocky and assured of yourself to be saying something like that. So those preferences, like even stating those things openly, is kind of hard for guys to do without some sort of social repercussions as a result of that. So again, how reliable are is your data? How reliable is my data? I was putting that out there too. The preferences, and say, well, those are self-reported preferences. It's very hard to get. It's easy to get qualitative data when people are saying, well, yeah, I think I'd rather get with a girl who could carry on a conversation, blah, 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 right? Yeah, because you're being asked that in a female correct society. You're supposed to say that. That sounds right. But if we go and we do a survey, what is impacting that? What implicit bias is impacting your responses to that? Certainly the society that you're being asked that question in, I would gather. Think of each AI like a TV news station. Yeah. Well, and they're all dishonest. And they're all writing their own narratives. So anyways, why is there a renewed interest? Let's just say, yeah, I'm kicking out some of these videos here. What is assortative mating? Why is that a hot new topic right now? Well, first of all, it distracts from the old topic of mate switching hypothesis, which is a complete, dead end. But it's the same people, and essentially all it is it's appeasing a gynocentric social order is what it is. It's saying that, well, qualitatively speaking, it's saying that if you're the guy who wants to get with the Applebee's waitress, the hot Applebee's waitress, so you don't care what she has, the less drama. She's just, I want a chick who wants to be. There's a lot that gets associated with it. Oh, so you want to get with a woman who can't carry on a conversation with you? You want to get with a woman who's uneducated? What does that say about you? Are you really high value if that's what you want to do? It's a self-perpetuating, it's circular logic is what it is. You can't win the question. If I say assortative mating is bullshit, and I show you in several different examples how it is, it's no longer about assortative mating. It's why do you think that it's bullshit? Who hurt you, Rollo? Who predisposed you to thinking the wrong way? The wrong think. Big sister's watching you, right? Who predisposed you to thinking that way? Same thing, again, the reason why I brought the Senator Hawley and Dr. Verma into is because that's the difference. The people who are going to be on Dr. Verma's side are going to go, how dare he ask him those questions? We need to find some way to get him out of office. We need to vote him out because he doesn't believe that men can get pregnant. He won't play along with our mass psychosis. He won't play along with our neurotic outlook on the world. He wants to use empiricism. Get him out of here. He's a messiah. He's the kind of guy that if he were in Britain, they would find some way to turn what he said into toxic masculinity. He's just looking for an empirical, objective definition to whether or not men can get pregnant or they can't get pregnant. And she wants to. So the people who are very pro emotionalism, very pro woke, very pro progressive, very pro gender identity, whatever the fuck, subjective identity. People who are very pro like that, they hate that. They hate him because he's asking for facts. And again, you can't give facts without telling people how to feel about it because they'll come to the turn. They'll feel about it however the fuck they think they're going to feel about it. And that's, again, what happens when you prioritize feels before reals. So when I say, I would much rather, I'm a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and I say, I'd much rather get with a hot stripper who appreciates me and can, love me and fuck the shit out of me. And she's hot and she's, 22 years old. That's what I prefer. I'm going to get ostracized for that. I'm going to get canceled for that. So of course you're going to have guys who say, well, they tend to marry those guys. Well, why are we using marriage as the metric for this? Because you're trying to, really what assortative mating is trying to determine is not who's getting married. It's not who's pairing off with who. It's trying to establish a theory for mating strategy. It's trying to say that fundamentally the underlying message is that women and men actually, where things aren't so bad. It's if you can't find a high value dude, it's because you're not a high value guy. So do better. Try to go and get a haircut. Go and make sure you wear deodorant, brush your teeth, do the basics. And then when these guys do that and they're still fucking ass out, there's no fucking safety net for them. There's no fucking group of guys that are, except for Reignite, there's no guys that are going to be there to help them out as a result of that. And they don't fucking care. Those guys are going to be the lonely guys that everybody wants to say aren't worth considering. And I've got one more video here. Where did it go? Let's see. God damn it. I had it on cue. This one?
100 years from now, this is what's going to.
Okay, it's not this one. Hang on. I got another one. God damn, that was loud. Yeah. Where'd it go? God, I have another one I kind of want to get to as well, but I have this one. me go back one more. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, this is it. Okay. So this kind of goes along with the male loneliness thing. So now we've gone from this do better, do better, do better. They do. And then yet we're still going to talk about male loneliness. Okay. Honestly, I don't think male loneliness is as big a problem as female radicalization, but
1 in 4 men believe no one will ever fall in love with them, which obviously you've got to be a pretty horrendous person not to
Be moved by that.
To be moved by that. And I'm just going to read some of the comments out to you.
Yeah.
These are the most popular comments as well. Number 1, have they tried smart?
do I have to have a British accent to be taken seriously on like this shit right now? Because I mean, Louise Perry and all this, it's like I have to like cultivate I don't know, maybe a Cockney accent.
Arlingmore, 900 likes. And they're right. As in, they're right not to think anyone's going to love them. 200 likes. Nobody cares. 200 likes. Have they considered being lovable? 600 likes. Nothing wrong with self-awareness. 4,500 likes. We can get that rate up. 1,000 likes. Wow. If men suffer in silence, and why do I keep hearing about it? 500 likes. Well, that's on them, low key. Have men tried not being awful people so others might love them? 2,200 likes. And it's like, I would dream about getting that many likes on one of my posts in terms of a comment. And this is a post about how 1 in 4 men don't believe anyone could ever love them. And they're the comments we're receiving. And it's not just the headlines that are shocking, but it's the fact that people still hate conversation around it. I mean, you talked about how you went to a museum.
There you go. Even after it's like, well, I've done everything you said. I've tried to be better. Essentially what the assortative mating push is right now, the idea that, well, you know, real men only get with like real women. Real men are you know, they're high value men are going to select and marry high value women. Again, it could be proximity. Again, it could be like, what's your definition of a high value man? But that's not the operative in this. The reason why assortative mating is a thing right now is because it locks in with this male qualification narrative. Do better and you'll get better. Do more shit. Become a better person. Like I said, put on deodorant, take a shower, go to the gym, whatever it is. Do all the good things that Andrew Tate says, but don't do all the bad things. Don't think like him. Just do all the things he says, right? Do all those things, be better, but don't be better for you. Be better for her. Be better for the girl that you want to get with. Because like attracts like, which we know is horse shit. And then even when they go and they up their game and they qualify, then there's even when they still do that and they come off as quote unquote lonely, then they're ridiculed for that. You're still ridiculed for the same for qualify or trying to qualify. There's still a disconnect there. What do you got? Rollo, thank you for changing my life 6 years ago when I read The Rational Male. Here's a tip for Ned. Thank you. Ka-ching.
The misandry's high.
And what is this? I'm seeing a 24-year-old Latina realtor and a 41-year-old medical professional. I'm 45. Which one do you think I like more? The 24-year-old Latina. You know, it's funny. It's like when women quit OnlyFans, they become realtors. Yeah. You know, the thing is, as far as the assortative mating thing is concerned too, is like, if we're going to look at it from like socioeconomic level, is it status or is it socioeconomics, right? Because Mike brought this up. There's a lot of guys who work in like plumbing, right? There's a lot of guys who work in trades who make a shit ton of money, who make, you know, they're in the top 1%, right? They're in the $300,000, $500,000 a year. Maybe they own their own business, but they're not Harvard educated, right? Maybe they have a certification, or maybe they may have a bachelor's degree or something like that. Are you going to include those guys in the numbers for the high value guy? Or is it because of the status? Is it because he's a high value guy? He went to Harvard, so therefore he must be more intellectual. Is it the intelligence that adds to the value? Like by what criteria are we saying this person is high value? And that's where all those assortative mating shit falls apart. First off, guys are always porn would not be porn if guys were selecting. You know, guys would be selecting on Pornhub. They'd be going, let's see, tap. I want to, boss babes with glasses. or maybe Mia Khalifa would fit that bill. Boss babes with, a senior executive who's got her shit together and wears high heels and lingerie. Go. Like you would not, there would be preferences for that, right?
How much intelligence do I need to be poor? Like,
yes, yes. It's like, no, it's give me big booty Latinas. That's what it is. It's not those. That's not the search that you get. Hell, I can go dig out. Oh God, I love doing this. The 2025 stats got to be out pretty soon. Pornhub, the blog, not the porn site, the blog is very informational when it comes to what the stats are and the appetites of in this case, the United States, but the worldwide. What gets women and men off? There it is. Insights. And there's no porn on there. It's just about here's what are popular and diverse desires. Search for content that has been on stay. LGBTQ.
79%. Oh my
lesbian.
God.
I love it when they do the charts for like what women, like how many women are actually. Oh, lesbian was the year's most viewed video category.
Well, I'm going to bring this up.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's bring it up. Let's do this. All right. Here's we're going to completely destroy assortative mating right now. Okay. Diverse lesbian. Lesbian was the most viewed video category, followed closely by transgender. Wow. Which grew 58%. Lesbian scissoring, bigger slice of the searches than lesbian MILF. Maturing MILFs. Interest in maybe you're right. Maturing women grew with hot MILF up 7%, 77%. Cougar, GILF, 50 plus. MILF. The generations are changing right now. All right.
This is the shift.
Yes. Real life role play. Views of role play categories with 90 plus 98%
There's your plumber.
Huh. Yeah, there it is. They're not looking for executives. They're looking for the hot plumber. Hospital, office sex, boss, such as boss, grew, and employee uniformed roles such as cop grew. Okay, maybe. Cheating and affairs. There you go. Femboy fixation. You guys are fucking sick. Femboy joined the world's top 10 searches and was among Pornhub gays visitors. Top gaining terms included cute femboy, sexy femboy, and femboy hentai. Oh, wow. Okay, now it makes sense. Yeah. Safe for work.
Okay.
What's this visitor search for? Safe for work content. Yeah. So they don't get flagged. There you go. Top searches. Top search terms. Hentai, still there. MILF. Pine, which is Filipino?
Filipino.
Filipino?
Filipino or Filipino?
Really? Hot. Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait, do I have this somewhere? There. Lesbian, anal, big ass, and Latina are side by side. Imagine that. Anime, Asian, femboy, stepmom, Japanese cream pie, threesomes, cosplay, animation, massage, trans, big tits, blowjob. God, big tits is falling off, man. Sorry. Korean at the bottom of the list. Sorry. Wow. Most popular performers, Alex Adams. Wow, a dude is at the top performer. Holy shit! And then Angela White, I never heard. Violet Myers, never heard. Lana Rhoades, yes, I've heard. Lily Phillips, well, imagine that. Let's see. Johnny Sins, I've heard of him. Eva Elfie, Abella Danger, I know her because I actually know Abella Danger because she shoots with like just regular photography. She shoots regular photography with Mike Tang. Who else? Brandy Love. Did you hear what happened to Brandy Love?
I have not.
She was out in Greece. I saw this on you can bring it back now. Yeah. I saw this and she was on Sean Kelly's show. He was interviewing her and she was in Greece and she was there looking for a house because if you know Brandy Love makes a lot of fucking money. And by the way, would definitely. At her age, she is fucking hot as fuck. But she was jumping off the back of some yacht and she got pulled into the propeller and it cut her. It was almost, they thought that she was going to lose the leg.
Yeah.
And apparently they got her back, like put the wound back together and got everything reconnected. And she could actually still, like miraculous, she could still walk. God. Yeah. And it really had to, she thought her career in life was fucking over at that point. And it's a really, by the way, if you want to watch it, it's on, and there's no porn involved. It's just her talking to Sean Kelly. But I was amazed that was something that actually happened to her. Like, God, God, what a fucking nightmare that would be. Like, jump off the back and the propeller's still going. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, do I want to run Sexton up the flagpole one more time? I have this one. Okay, I have to. Now that I mentioned it, I kind of have to, because remember, iron sharpens iron. People go, oh, he's not going to go after Sexton again. No, I'm not. But let's just have a look.
Therapy is bad for men, Jim.
Therapy is a terrible tool for most men. I think that most men are much better off doing something rather than talking about things. And when you talk about the context of relationship, like talking about your problems, like in a marriage counseling perspective kind of thing, rarely actually solves the problem unless it's coupled with action. So I think that most of the time, if a guy has his act together for the most part, that the best things that he can do to influence his marriage is not talking about stuff, but just doing things differently. Because women can cue into subtle differences and nuances in ways that us men lack in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So, there's a lot on the internet like this where the fundamental premise is incredibly flawed and wrong, but then they talk enough that something they say, you go, well, that actually, there's something to that, right? So, like, the fundamental premise, men shouldn't be in therapy. I think that's just stupid. Like, it's a stupid generalization. Maybe some people shouldn't be in therapy, but I think most people would benefit from therapy if it was the kind of therapy where you're developing some genuine sense of understanding yourself a little bit better, what your triggers are, how your childhood things and subconscious mind might have influenced your present reality, and what emotionally activates you. Like, these are all useful things. Like reading the your owner's manual of something you own. It may not be necessary, but if you read the entire owner's manual, even though that might feel like a drudgery, you're going to understand that piece of equipment better than everybody else in the house.
Okay, so I'm going to go out on a, sorry, Jim. The problem, and I think this is really what the guy in the video that he was reacting to was trying to describe here, is that female specific therapy is detrimental to men understanding themselves, much less their wives, right? A female oriented, the therapy that works for women, the psychotherapy, the humanist type of therapy, the psychoanalysis type of therapy, that is, especially if you have a marriage counselor, if you have like a marriage counselor, marriage counseling is usually done because the marriages need the wife really needs some sort of validity to say, well, we tried what we could and we divorced, right? It's last stop. Tom Likas used to call marriage therapy last stop before toll. And the thing is that, and Mike and I have discussed this a million times, guys would do better with a personal trainer than they would with a therapist.
Yeah.
You will find more therapy in the squat rack. You will find more therapy. It'll be more therapeutic for you to get into the gym, work out, and go. And this is what he was trying to explain here. Is like, it's better to explicate than demonstrate. Because once you start, this is my bonehead theory right here. I'm just going to throw this one out there. I think fundamentally what Jim is saying is that it's better to know yourself than not. Yeah, but the thing is men come to that realization and that acknowledgement and that understanding in a much different way than women do. So when we're looking at therapy I've said this before, it's like men communicate far better when they have a purpose, when they have a goal, when there's some sort of project or shared interest or some sort of collective problem that they're sharing together, right? As I've said before, the best conversations I've ever had with my brother and my dad was when we were wrenching on cars together, right? Those are some of the, so when you're talking with your guys, it's usually because, or your friends, it's usually because you have a shared interest, right? That's one of the things I do in Reignite is I try to foment those kinds of situations, because that's where guys actually start talking real shit. Not when we're in a therapy, in our fainting couch, and not when let's talk about our feelings. That works for chicks.
That doesn't work for men. Men, you're going to probably have better conversations and you're probably going to work shit out a whole lot better if you're having that therapy session in the and powerhouse gym. That's where that's where it's going to take. That's where it's going to stick. And it's usually going to be, and it's coming from guys. Women are not going to teach men about male nature. Guys are going to teach men about male nature. You want to understand yourself. You want to have the owner's manual to your life. Get the rational male. Then you're going to understand shit. We keep talking about the red pill. Red pill is the Chilton manual for intersexual dynamics. You want to understand that? You want to understand yourself? Get the rational male. Get Player's Handbook. Get Reignite. Get those books. If you benefit from reading, that's going to set you on a right course. But I'm going to tell you before you even do that, you can read all my books, all 6 of them in a row. And it's going to mean jack shit unless you go out and you take action and you do those things. That's exactly why Mike calls men of action men of action. Go and do it. Not men of sit on the couch and talk about your feelings, men of action. We were talking about this with Mystery not too long ago too. I'm quoting Mystery right here. It's like he was saying that he hears all this shit about inner game and fixing your childhood trauma and all this other shit. And I can't go out and meet girls until I do that and I'm a better me. No, go out and fucking do it. Anyways, go out and do that because what you'll find is your outer game tends to solve all the problems of your inner game. You start feeling better about yourself when you're nailing a hot 22-year-old bottle girl. Suddenly, all of that childhood trauma is not as important as the getting after it with that chick again, right? Because you were successful. You were sexually successful with somebody. Those results are a positive reinforcement for what you're doing. And how do you understand men? How do you understand women? Men do not do therapy like women do. And I think that's really what it is. And maybe this was kind of like over Jim's head. Because I know he doesn't want to alienate half of his audience. So women are going to say, well, men need to be in therapy. In a gynocentric social order, that makes perfect sense. All those women who are radicalized to the left, they're the ones saying men need therapy. I think not. I think they are looking at gender dynamics from a exclusively, uniquely female perspective because the female perspective is the correct one. And all you're doing by reiterating this stuff and parroting this shit back is confirming that the female experience is the correct experience. Fuck that. The red pill is saying that the male experience is at least as valid, if not more valid, than the female experience. And if that gets me called a misogynist, so fucking be it. If I say men are the ones, if I tell you to be your own mental point of origin in my Reignite book, if we go over that and talk about mindset, we talk about the inception point, we talk about what really constitutes mental point of origin, what I'm telling guys is they need to be the primary focus of their lives. They need to be the first thought that enters their brain, the point of inception, right? Whenever they're faced with the decision, and not what mommy's going to say about it, and not what the gynocentric social or big sister is going to say about it, and not what their future girlfriend, the possibility of their future girlfriend is going to say about it, or any woman in fucking earshot is going to say about it. It's going to be him that is the one that is the primary in all of his decision making and all of his considerations. And then from there, other people, including women, can benefit from that. Because what I'm telling you is that the male experience, your male experience, there's nothing pathological about that. There's nothing, it's not your masculinity, your conventional masculinity, and you putting yourself in experiencing life as a man. There's nothing wrong, clinically wrong with you. Just because you didn't cry at the end of fucking Titanic, you are not emotionally unintelligent. You are a guy. And your men process emotions differently than women do. If therapy is based on processing emotions as women do, fuck you, I'll be in the squat rack. Fuck you, I'll be on my deep sea fishing trip and I'm going to be, fuck you, I'm going to be putting a new Holley 4-barrel carburetor on my Chevy. That's where the therapy happens for guys. It's going to be in the action, in the problem solving, in the fucking doing. Not women talk, men do. That's how this works. And so the last thing I want to leave you guys with is this, is like, well, I've been discussing pretty much the whole time, this whole show right now, about how gynocentrism is the definitive message. It's the definitive narrative. It is the correct way to think of things. If men could emote more like women, they'd be human. They would go from being not human to being human. Hell, we even tell our little boys that. I remember when remember all the pink pussy hat parades that were going on back at, this was like, I think this was back around like the 2016 elections, you know, and women were marching with the pink pussy hats, and it was like, you know, the future is female. Remember that shit? Yeah. Along with that was the boys will be boys thing. A lot of these single mothers had their sons, and they would put these shirts on them, or they have them carry these placards, these slogans that would say boys will be boys, but then it slashes out boys at the end. So boys will be, and then slashes out boys, and then it says good humans, implying that boys are not good humans to begin with. They're not human, period. The only way they can be humanized, the only way they can be civilized, the only way they can be better fucking humans is to be more like a female. Fuck that. Take that therapy and go wipe your ass with it. That is not constructive. That is not going to teach you your own male nature. The red pill, manosphere, however you want to chop it up. My book, Mike's program, Reignite program, whatever it is, Rich Cooper's program, Ryan Stone, whoever you find benefit from, that is going to be more beneficial to your self-understanding than listening to psychotherapy. Oh yeah. 99% of women who get in a breakup say that their ex was narcissistic, but only 3% of the population is narcissistic. That says more about the chick, because the female experience is the correct one. We're supposed to, yeah, you're right, agree, reinforce that, affirm that, reaffirm that. No, it's bullshit. Statistically, it's bullshit. Empirically, it's bullshit. And again, one more time, comes back to the Senator Hawley debate with Dr. Verma. Female therapy in general, whatever, exists on the Dr. Verma side of that conversation. Female therapy, the assortative mating, all of that stuff that I've been talking about, that exists on the emotionalist side of the spectrum. That exists in the female is correct side of how we're going to organize society. Senator Hawley says we're interested in the truth. The truth. End of period. End of story. Empirical truth. What is true? That should be the purpose of all debate. That's one of the reasons I'm never going to go on fucking war debate. It's not a bait. It's an inquisition is what it is. Are you a good person or are you a bad person? That's on the female side. If you're going to say, well, if you're going to make value calling, women will say, don't judge me. You know, that's because they don't want you to apply value to them. They don't want you to evaluate who they are according to their feelings. Feels before reals. It's not saying that emotion isn't important. It's just no way to fucking build a life. It's no way to do therapy. It's no way to organize society. If you want to know why we're in such dire straits, why things are so fucking negative right now, you want to know why Hollywood sucks? There people are like running up the Avengers movie right now. I'm like, I'm maybe I'll watch it. I don't know, but I know for a fact that, let's say, women have ruined Star Wars. They've ruined Star Trek. They've just ruined Games Workshop. They just ruined Warhammer 40,000 by putting female custodies in as lore. They finally bent the knee. Name your pop culture, name your geek, name your nerd, whatever it is. I will guarantee you somewhere along the way, the female correct experience has ruined not only your fun, but also the artistic expression of somebody who never intended it to be like that. Have you seen the new Laura Croft?
I have not.
The new Laura Croft for the new Laura Croft movie. What happened to her tits? She is known for huge fucking majigums, man. Where the fuck are they? They're nowhere. Why? Because women ruined it. That's because the female experience is the correct way. You should think this way, guys. And that's why the female correct experience, gynocentric social order, will always have a problem with the manosphere. Will always have a problem because it takes away from that and says, no, The female experience is not the correct one. The male experience is the correct one. And we're going to go with that because the male experience wants the truth as to whether or not men can get pregnant or not, right? It's focused on the truth. It's focused on rationalism. It's focused on empiricism. And the language of empiricism always sounds like hate to the language of emotionalism. That's why what I'm saying right now, that's why I'm going to get ratioed. That's why I'm going to get canceled. That's why I'm going to get, especially in the UK, right? Well, he's giving objective, honest, observable, empirical truths on his show. Get him out of here. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't feel good. I want a happy ending at the end of this whole fucking thing. Okay, so I'm done. I want to ask you one question though, Kyle.
Okay.
Have you been watching Landman?
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
I'm almost finished with the new
You know where
episode.
I'm going next, right? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because this is this is the cherry on the top of this conversation today. What's her name? The character's name is Ainsley, but I can't remember she's fuck dude. She's
the daughter.
Smoke
Ainsley,
show hot. Yeah, Ainsley
Norris.
smoke show hot. And not to take anything away from like Ali Larder, because like for her age, she's a smoke show too. But they had that one scene where she was supposed to share the dorm room with the sort of, she looked like a boy, the ginger boy cut liberal progressive, and who wanted to use pronouns and had a weasel.
The weasel that
The weasel.
bad.
That, like, this is like they nailed this. Somebody who was helping them, or maybe it was Taylor Sheridan himself, but you nailed that character perfectly, because that's that I would expect that, right? Or Tarantula, something like that. And she's just basically using, she's a ditz, she's a airhead on the show, but even the airhead simple logic destroys the wokesy narrative, right? I don't understand why you want to be called they or them, because that means I'm not in the conversation, or I'm like talking about you in the third person. I feel like I'm talking to you about behind your back. And it was so, I hope they follow up on that.
Right.
I felt like they didn't. I mean, maybe that was just a jab at liberal progressive wokesy, woke speak at a Christian college, by the way, too. And then the counselor is even very liberally too. And a lot of people were just like praising that, but like now the actress who plays Ainsley, she is getting all this hate mail.
Wow.
Because people think she's actually the character on the fucking show, right? Or how dare you? How could you have accepted such a role? And I want to also draw one more thing, is like the reason why that is so agitating is because it's Taylor Sheridan writing into the script empiricism versus emotionalism, because that's all the wokesy narrative is. It's the female correct experience. And when you take it to its illogical, absurd extremes, that's what you get. You get pronoun. Like, it's like the way I have described wokesism is you have, remember, like, you're at the homecoming game, the homecoming football game, and it's in high school, right? And you have the retarded kid, the kid with Down syndrome, right?
Okay.
And the Down syndrome kid, you give him the football, and you go, okay, Tommy, go and run it into the end zone, and you're going to win the game. And Tommy's like, oh, I'm going to win a potato. I'm going to win the game. Right? And he runs out, and everybody's cheering for the mentally disabled, clinically retarded kid that goes and wins a football game. And then everybody says, oh, Johnny, you won the football game for us. And everybody's playing along. Johnny didn't win the football game. They're pandering to this kid. It's actually not about him. It's about everybody else in the audience cheering him on and wants to feel good about, oh, we're being generous here, being magnanimous about this whole thing. And that's what we do when we pander to the feminine. That's what men do when they agree with Dr. Verma and not with Senator Hawley. That's what we do. We encourage the retarded kid and play along with it the whole time. Only if we don't play along with it now, we get wished away to the cornfield. Okay. We get canceled. Everybody has to play along with this mass psychosis, because it's like, wink, wink, we're going to use pronouns now. We're going to pretend that, that you identify as a goldfish, we're all going to go along with it. We're going to pretend that, and that same impetus, that same wanting to play along and pander to this feminine correct way of we all got to be inclusive. It's all about the community. It's all about wealth redistribution. It's all about everybody goes along. It's all about participation trophies. Everybody participated. You get one and you get one and you get one. And we all feel good. And we want to make the maximum people feel good by doing these things. And so therefore, if it makes people feel good by using pronouns, then we all agree, right? We're all going to, I know it's bullshit, but we're going to go along with it anyways, because we know the kid's retarded, but we're going to pretend that they're not retarded. And we're going to go along with whatever their gender identity happens to be, even though it's horseshit. Even though men cannot get pregnant. We're going to play along with it. We're going to play along with Dr. Verma and say that they can. We're going to go along with it, and we're going to say, oh, yeah, well, identity is complex. And I don't know. That is Dr. Verma pandering and playing along to the point where she's included it and invested her identity and her ego into it, to the point where she can't disagree with it because the concept of disagreeing doesn't even enter her thought process. That's the difference. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing when we're saying men need therapy. No, they don't. Men need to understand that the female experience is not necessarily the correct one. And the male experience is more correct. The way they see the world, the way that men imposing their will upon the world is not a bad fucking thing. Oh, it's going to lead to patriarchy and tyranny, or it might lead to a more organized, well-balanced, gendered society. I love, man, Steve Stewart Williams has this great book that's coming out soon. It's about like gender differences and stuff. And one of the chapters, I read some of the previews of the whole book's not out yet, but I read some of the preview chapters of this. And one of them is about gender identities, right? And he's, or gender versus sex, which is something I've talked about like a lot of times. One of the things that the female correct experience relies upon is this disconnect between sex, biological sex, and gender. In fact, Steve Stewart Williams says, I don't even refer to gender as gender. I just call the sexes, the female sex, the male sex. Because by using their language, you are only pandering or reinforcing that narrative. I don't know that that's necessarily his objective, but what I've said before is like if you have this separation between the two, like if there's only sex or there's only gender, then those are two things that you can attack at the same time. Then you can say, well, biological sex is different from gender. Everybody's got a different gender. Blah, blah, blah. Well, the thing is that gender identity is downstream from the biology. You are born male. Your architecture, your hormones, your neurological architecture. That's what I was saying. Synapses, everything. You're born male. You still have male propensities, male proclivities. You have male genetics, and those contribute to your quote unquote identity. So, like, that's why I keep saying like all this nonsense about like the trans this and trans that. Most of that comes as a result of autism. People with autism are transgender people who identify as transgender are 6 times more likely to have autism. Truth. Go look it up. 6 times more likely to have autism. So we're looking at a psychosis that we're all playing along with. That we're all going, yeah, Johnny, go run it into the football, go run it into the end zone. Except we're saying, yeah, a transgender guy, go run it into the end zone, and we're going to play along with it. Everybody plays along with it because the cost of not playing along with it is too high than actually asking whether or not a man can get pregnant or not. So what I want to leave you guys with is this, is that the female experience is not the only experience. The female experience is not even the preferred experience. The female experience is nothing that we should be defining society by or organizing society by. We need to start organizing it based on empiricism, objectivism, and analyzing the problem, finding out what's true, and setting things right. And the only way we do that is we stop pandering to the feels before reals, female correct way of looking at things. That's why assortative mating is horseshit. That is why all this bullshit about the idea of gender and the idea of sexual biological sex. Name the wokesy issue and I will find you the female narrative. I will find you the female correct way of that contributed to that particular issue with that particular outlook. I will find you that in the next episode of Landman. That's what I will find. And by the way, I want to also throw this out there too. People were saying that like Landman was starting to sound really kind of like woke because Cooper is like basically a beta male simp kiss ass for his wife, who, by the way, he made millions of dollars for. She's a millionaire as a result of that, who still wants to work at a bar and still wants to like live in you know, where she's living. Okay. I can suspend my disbelief about that, but then you got like Tommy, who is like a kiss up to Allie Larder or whatever his wife's name is. And then you've got what's her name? Demi Moore's character, who's like very, you know, she just, I'm not, spoiler alert, she fires him, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering what's going to happen with all of that. But then you got that going on. I love the interplay between the geologist guy and the attorney chick that's on there. Yeah. But before you guys write off Landman as like, oh, they jumped the shark. Oh, they went woke. Okay. Let it play out. Because Taylor Sheridan will build you up to think one thing, and then by the end of the thing, it'll be this is how Cooper went from being a simp, a beta male simp, to being the guy who wears the pants in the household. You have to establish him as being sort of a kiss ass first before you see the transition.
The becoming of a man.
Yeah, the becoming part, yes. And he also beat the living hell out of that one guy who was trying to rape his girl, right? Yeah. So give it a little more time. I don't think it's going to be as woke as you think it is, especially after the Ainsley scene. I'm pretty sure I will know later on tonight because I'm going to watch it tonight. So with that said, I don't know that we're doing Access Vegas on Wednesday. I think we might be. If not, it will be the following Wednesday. I'm doing fine. I'm hanging in there. I'm looking forward to March 24th, where they reconnect me. They get me back up to speed. I'm feel okay. I got in here. I can do the show. But yeah, if you guys need to, I'm still doing one-on-ones. If anybody needs a one-on-one counseling or something like that, now's the time to ask me because I'm at home all the time. I don't hardly ever. This is the first time I left the house in days. I'm still doing Reignite, or still doing our program with Reignite. So check that out. It is at reignitealpha.com. The book is available. Reignite is available on all formats. It's on Audible, it's on hardback, paperback, and it's on Kindle right now. I am diligently working. My project right now is updating the physical book, the hard copy of the very first book, so that the print is larger. I'm going to make a hardback of it. It's going to be technically a second edition, but it's going to be, I'm correcting all the syntax and all the spelling errors and all the shit that I fucked up back in 2013. And so the print version is going to be, the cover is going to stay the same. The content's still the same. It's just, I'm just correcting all the mistakes. Especially the type size. I'm sorry. I know it's tiny. So that'll be coming out. And then there will be a hardback edition of that. If those hardback editions sell well, then I'm going to release all of them in hardback, and we'll do a set of hardbacks. So you got, because people have been asking me for that. I have translations in Spanish, German. I have one coming up in Turkish right now, finally. I have one in Polish. I have one in Korea. I am personally responsible for the gender ideological divide in Korea. South Korea. Yes, it's me. Sorry. It's worldwide, and you're not stopping us anytime soon. So with that said, I guess I will see you guys next Sunday, same time. Look for me during midweek shows, and I will let you know when next Access Vegas is going to be. If it is, it'll be on Wednesday. All right. See you guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Don't get no hold, I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time. Goddamn right. But I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. Gotcha, what do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. To the same time came by when Guilty, 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 guilty. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Oh, really? The best in my life.
I prefer a good cigar and a bad woman.
Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up every wall while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stubbing with her hair. Like she's calling you Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Run me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song, getting messy. Working up and down on your body. Run me up and down.
Stop the cow.
Turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different.
Good day, sir.
Preceding podcast has been a production of The Rational Man. All rights reserved 2026. And don't steal my colon.
Where are the Cheetos?
Guilty, 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 guilty. And maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again. Then maybe
God
things are
wants you to have a baby.
goddamn, baby, one more again. The best in my life.
Tell these bitches to go to hell.
Tell that bitch to be cool.